right, there we are. So Artistic Freedom number 46. If you guys didn't notice, I was at the lake today, so I might be a little red. And also, I was literally on the lake at 4 o'clock with the kids, thinking the episode's supposed to be at 7:30. So hopefully this works out right. But everybody, thank you for being here. We are oiled and ready to go. We got the sound effects finally back up, which has been a huge hassle. This episode's going to be fun. I actually have a bit of a surprise for you. But first, before I introduce that surprise, I want to say thank you guys for joining us, of course, as always, but also joining us with the questions and the comments. Of course, you guys in the comment section, you're the show. We're just here to respond, and you guys can ask us anything. That's the point of the Q&A. You've already submitted questions, but you guys can ask us here, of course. We will do our best. So if you can make the questions as short and clear as possible, I would love to answer them. We will be getting into a conversation quite a bit, I'm sure. Well, let's just here in a second, you'll see why. My guest is a lot like me in many ways, and I think that's why we get along, but enough different that it's interesting. So bear with us, and we'll do our best to get with your comments and everything. So thank you for being here, episode 46. So we got Evan behind the scenes. Evan, you know how to say what's up.
Hola.
Don't be afraid. What, you don't want him to see your hat? There we go. So Evan has got a dead cat on his head. So thanks for being the audio engineer / camera operator, artistic freedom wizard behind the scenes. All right. So before we get to the questions, what we're going to do tonight, let's see here. Rochelle's already saying, do you have the lights on? I don't know what that means. Is it dark, Bubba? No. If anything's not coming in loud and clear, or if the video looks weird, you guys just let us know. Casey's saying, I saw you in Shaver. Oh, you just gave it away, Casey. Now everybody knows where I was at. Gosh, now they're going to go look for me. So anyway, guys, thanks for being on here. Of course, you know we love the flags. We got our sound effects for you. Yeah, so send the flags. We love those. So we're going to get into a conversation. I'm going to introduce you guys to a good friend of mine, Curtis. Just behind the scenes, he said apparently at some point in our lives we may be future business partners, or at least you could foresee that. And it's kind of funny because I don't find a lot of like-minded people. I don't find a lot of people that I don't want to say this wrong. Everybody's going to get pissed on the stream. I don't find a whole lot of people that I connect with at the level in which me and you do in a professional and personal way. But I want to introduce Curtis. This is my guest. Curtis, thanks for being here.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Yep. So this is Curtis's first time being on a live stream and first time being on this episode. So you guys welcome him, and we're going to have some good conversation. Then we'll get to your questions and nail those. So I would like to, for the most part, if I can, I actually say this every episode, and don't be afraid to go wide, Bubba. On every episode, I always say that I'm going to do more of a Q&A and like just interact with the audience, and I always end up getting just into a deeper conversation. So if that happens, you know what? If that happens, that's what we have this for. Curtis, thank you so much for joining me, and let this be a good show.
Brody says hi, and she's hot.
Brody says hi and she's hot, or she is just in general?
She says hi.
Oh, nice.
My comment is she's hot.
Oh, perfect. We need a little comment thing for Curtis to be able to jump back to you. Okay, so any questions? You guys give us a minute. Curtis, let's introduce you a little bit. How did we meet, and why are we here? Like, what brought us here today?
How do we meet? So me and my wife were looking for a tattoo place. We went to several places, and more than just the experience of the tattoo artist, I wanted to make sure that I had a vibe that I wanted to be there for a length of time and spend money with somebody. So I wanted to make sure that it was somebody I could actually be around for any length of time. And Josh was the only one that spent a decent amount of time with us prior to me spending money, gave us the guidance we needed, made me feel comfortable, and
that's it.
And now I got about 45 hours in your chair.
Yeah, that's right. If you guys can see his back, it's like almost done, actually.
One session left.
That's pretty impressive, too, in a short amount of time. Curtis is the kind of dude who's like, all right, I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm just going to sit here, I'm not going to move. He even eats when he's just still assuming position and wants to get it done. So it's probably going to be one of the, actually, I would say it's the fastest back mural I'll have ever done today, yeah. Most people can't sit for more than 3 or 4 hours still, much less endure the pain. And then, they got, I won't say they got other shit to do, but they don't plan for the day. They don't just say, hey, let's just get this done, we're here, right? So you do that, and it makes it a lot easier for me. And also, too, you don't, you do wiggle a lot. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, you move a lot, but it's not like we're doing lines or anything.
Because I'm answering the phone. And
yeah, you're always
work shit.
Yeah, you're still handling business. So, All right, so you came into the shop, and I obviously have tattooed you quite a bit. You and your wife, and you guys have both been awesome, and even some of the other girls. I think Samurai's also tattooed your wife. But some of the conversations. Go ahead.
She did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. I almost forgot about it too until I
she did.
saw this little tiny piece.
The little elephant, yeah.
Why do you? Let me ask you this. I'm gonna put you right on the spot. Why do you think we get along? What is it? Or maybe
Well, for one, you have an entrepreneur spirit. So I always get along with somebody who's a positive thinker, entrepreneur spirit, wants more. And those conversations just flow. I mean, I love talking about entrepreneur. I love talking about success. You know that.
yeah,
I mean, it
like
just,
personal growth.
yeah,
making
those are
money.
the conversations. Like, I don't like crybaby conversations. I don't like hearing about problems.
There we go.
I don't care to be around those kind of people. And when people have an entrepreneur spirit and they want more in life and they have goals and dreams and they talk about them, they're not afraid to. A lot of people never even talk about it because they're setting themselves up for failure.
Right.
So if you don't talk about it, you never fail,
Sure.
right? I do just the opposite. I talk about all my dreams and goals. I want everybody to hear about it because it holds me accountable to go after them.
True.
So when I talk to other people that are like-minded, it's easy to get along.
Right.
mean,
I agree. I know sometimes I feel like if I'm asking you a question, or this is probably pretty common just in general for anybody to feel like they're a pest, right? Like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm bugging the person. But every time I ask you a question regarding business or anything I'm trying to get done, you're like, you seem actually pretty pumped. Like you're like, this is my shit.
I
man.
love
I'm
this
cool.
shit, bro. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. You know what I mean?
So-
I get it. That's where I get my thrill is now I get a real joy out of helping other people.
Sure.
And then
Where do you think that comes from in you? I mean, I've heard the argument like if you're born with it, or if it's natural to you, or if it's something you develop, or
I don't know. I mean, you know, when you start, of course you want money. Everybody wants money, right? You start and things are going well and all those good things. Once you don't have to worry about them no more, you got to figure out something else that motivates you. So when I could see other guys coming up, or I could help other people that were in a similar situation to me, whatever time ago, and help them get to the next step in their life, that brings me
Okay.
joy. So now I get more joy off that. If I can help other people get what they want, and I get what I want in return, that's a win-win.
It's interesting you say that, because something I had to unlearn. So, right, growing up where we buy other people's, my dad always calls it someone else's plan or somebody else's program. He always says, it's like a famous dad quote is, get with the program. Come on, get with the program. Like if you're doing something wrong, he's like, get with the program.
My dad's famous quote was, shut the fuck up or I'll give you something to cry about.
There you go. I
That was
like
his
it.
famous quote.
But I like that stuff because as I grew up, you have to try to make sense of it because you're a kid. You don't really know the full gravity of these sort of lessons they're trying to teach you. But as I've gotten older and some of the things that I've tried to accomplish in my own life and I'm still working on, I'm sure I will until the day I die, is kind of contrary to what seems popular opinion or let's say just kind of everyday conversation that you would have normally with typical people. To me, it bores the shit out of me. And I don't mean it to be personal against anybody, but it's just not my thing, man. I'm just like bored out of my mind. Someone starts talking about Nick and Jimmy, and I'm like, dude, I'm out of it. I'm just out of it. And when we're hanging out, it's completely different. So it's a nice breath of fresh air.
Because they're conversations that inspire you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you're talking to somebody like-minded and then you inspire each other with ideas, like I've gotten several ideas from you that I've applied in my shit, you know, and when you're talking to somebody like-minded and those ideas start flowing, that conversation starts flowing, you get trapped, 2 hours, just like that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, just out of curiosity. Do you find that people misunderstand that part about you often? If so, how? Like say
So,
like the entrepreneurial spirit.
I
and
can't talk to everybody about stuff like that. I can't. I pick and choose who I'm going to have those kind of conversations with, because if you're not on the same, if you don't think the same way, then it comes off as bragging or it comes off in a negative way, or if they don't want to hear it, or if they're not. It's you just have to pick and choose who you could talk to
Sure.
about things like that. I only have a handful of people, so when I do have somebody I could talk to like that, of course I enjoy those conversations. That's what I like to talk about. That's what I like to do.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because this year I've noticed it for me, and I don't know if it's a culmination of things, like it's my age now that I'm over 40 and almost 41 next month. It's me and my business and where I'm at now with some of the things that I just want to do in the future. Some of the potential things some of the potential that I know I have and want to reach for, I find myself being less and less interested in really anything else. You know, my kids are grown to some extent, although Evan is wearing a coonskin hat, which is awesome. Evan, I love you.
Okay, so until you said a minute ago he had a cat on his head, I thought that was his hair. I'm serious. I thought it was his hair.
Yeah, Evan's got a coonskin hat on. That's awesome. Evan, show it again. Just don't be scared. Let's get it. Yep, there you go. Evan's coon.
I thought it was his hair.
It looks
I'm
like
serious.
a perm from Golden
I thought
Girls,
it was his hair. I thought he had a ponytail.
but he's got a coonskin hat on.
Kids do crazy things these days.
Yeah. So anyway, my point being that I find myself almost being probably even intolerable to some other people that aren't into the things that I'm wanting to get into. And I don't want to give that up. Like, I'm in a place now where I've decided I don't need anything else.
No, same with me. Same with me. I'm busy, super busy. So I only have so much time I can give up anyway, personal time. So I don't have time to really. I mean, it sounds cruel, but I don't have time to talk to people that are not like-minded. I just don't have enough time to give up time for something that I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So if we're not on the same wavelength, you know, I'm not going to be rude, but I'm not going to give up a half hour, an hour either. I don't have it to give up.
Interesting. I'm going to ask you this because this is something I've been having to kind of dig deep down inside myself to kind of ask how I should or could handle this, which is there's times where I'm in a conversation or it could be a 5-minute conversation. Somebody stops in the studio or, you know, you see them in public that you don't usually get to see, you know, out and about in the wild. And, you know, they're talking to you. It's 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And there's this moment of like that's too much now. And I have to break it off, but I know that this connection is important and I've always valued that in my relationships with customers. So I'm having to find like this new balance of once mentally, and I mean this to be no harm towards obviously any individual, but I find this point where I like hit this wall. I'm like, I'm so ready for this conversation to be over. And that could be 30 seconds in, 10 minutes in.
Yeah. Well, you're talking work relationships. So when I'm at work, I was talking about personal time.
Okay.
Work time's work time. I mean, work time, you got to put on the show. You got to be the chameleon. You got to have those conversations. I mean, I talk to people at work all the time that maybe I don't care to talk to, you know, certain customers. I mean, just face it, there's certain customers you just, outside of work, you would never talk to them.
Right.
But you got to give up that time. Yeah. So I do. I do.
So something I can blame you for is talking me into, I say that aggressively, talking me into having a front desk person.
Yes.
Like you mentioned this.
100%.
What was the thing that made you think, because I'm sure a lot of people watching already know that this is something I'm working on right now. What is the thing that drove you to saying that? What I don't remember exactly the conversation or what made you think of it.
Well, in one of our conversations, in our 8-hour sessions, we were talking about growing the store and how you could grow the store, you know, and eventually even maybe not be tattooing, just managing tattoos, so forth. And you have a lot of traffic that comes there. You got a lot of phone traffic, but you don't have a lot of time to give up to these people. And neither do the other tattoo artists. They're busy.
Yeah.
So what sold me when I went in there, I don't know if you remember or not, because it probably didn't affect you the same way it affected me. It was 2 different times, we were looking for 2 different things. But you gave up about 40 minutes.
I do remember. It was late evening.
And you explained how color works on my wife's skin because she got very dark skin. So the last tattoo artist we went to, the color didn't work because it chose the wrong colors. You laid out the examples of the sheets and when the top layer wears off, the color underneath, and all those things, right? Shit I didn't know, okay, which was interesting, but it was the time that you gave up, that 40 minutes time when I could see you're busy and you don't even know if I'm going to spend any money with you yet.
Right.
You know, and you gave up that time, you made me feel comfortable, and I go, you know what? Okay. I hope this fucker could tattoo.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna give it a shot here because I feel a good environment here, and the place didn't smell like fucking weed.
Yeah.
You know, and
Kind of unusual.
Yeah. You know, tattoo places don't have
Yeah.
the best, you know, perception if you haven't been there before. You know?
Reputations can be pretty rough.
Yes. Same as car business.
Yeah.
Same as car business. So, you know, right away when I walk in there, you got a good vibe. The place don't smell like weed. Right away, the owner comes up, gives me 30, 45 minutes of time without any type of commitment right away. Now, keep in mind, that was the 3rd tattoo shop I've been to that day.
Okay.
And this was several tattoo shops that I've been to over the course of 2 months.
Right.
Trying to figure out where, you know, because I knew this back piece was going to be a lot of hours. And, you know, and I know it was going to be expensive. And I know it was going to be a long time. I don't want to be sitting down with somebody 40, 50 hours that I don't enjoy to be around or give up my money to.
Sure.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So that 45 minutes time that you give up front
You know what?
built us 50 hours together.
It's interesting too because when you first came in, I kind of have a few categories that I can kind of lump customers into right away, or even potential customers, right? So I kind of have a couple categories, and one of the clear ones is, just as much as you're vetting whether or not I should be your artist, I'm doing the same thing with
Yeah,
my
100%.
clients.
100%.
And so one of the things I always look for is like, how much of a hassle do I think this person's going to be? And I'm like 50-50 right or wrong about it. Like it's never, it's a hard one because someone might be posing. What customers do a lot of times is they think that they have to know a bunch of stuff. So they want to feel like they're not wasting your time. So they kind of feel like they want you to feel like they have a direction you want them to go, and that they're knowledgeable to some degree. I'm not saying you were doing that, but a lot of people will do this because I think they feel the pressure of like, I don't want to show up to this artist and just sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, most people aren't artists. Like the far majority of people are not artists. So my job, I love to be able to just say, hey, like if you're just down, let's make something awesome.
Yeah,
I'll do
educate
that
me a bit
end.
too. Yeah, you didn't have a problem educating me a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't, at that time, neither one of us knew we were going to spend any money together, but
Yeah.
you still spent that time educating me on why it didn't work the first time, and whether I do, to work with you or not, what to look out for the next time.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
And so since then, we spent a lot of hours together, a lot of pain, a lot of blood, sweat, and maybe no tears, but at least blood and sweat. And what I've noticed is, and actually there's somebody watching this right now that knows this very well, that meeting you, I actually felt like, as maybe cheesy as it sounds, was a blessing to me. This last year, I actually had said a prayer that just not asking for anything, but just the guidance to be able to find the type of people that I know I need in my life that I currently don't. And how do I make myself, because I don't believe in picking people's brains. I think that if I never want to come off that way. And when other people even use those words, I try to help them by correcting that is not something people want you to do. Somebody who has information and time, because that happens to me a lot. Hey, can I pick your brain? I want to learn to tattoo. I'm just going to take time out of my day, because most people that ask that aren't going to do anything with it
Correct.
anyway.
Correct.
So in that scenario, or in that sort of story, is me saying this prayer of wanting to find like-minded people. And I almost thought maybe I'm going a little crazy because I'm really losing myself to this, and willingly, I'm very happy to do so, but losing myself into this sort of train of thought, this entrepreneurial spirit that's within me, always has been, but I also have this artist spirit, which is very different than the entrepreneur spirit. I mean, I have both, right? I have to take that hat off and switch them back and forth. So meeting you really, I felt like, was an answer to that prayer, which is finding somebody else I can actually relate to and communicate with in that way. And those conversations that we had, even in the meantime, like I literally am now looking for a receptionist. I've done quite a few interviews, was shocked how many people actually applied. And so you, even just saying that.
Well, right away, because I'm in sales, and and sales is really people business, right? And in people business, you're always trying to find the next customer. Of course, you want repeat business, but repeat business don't keep you alive. You have to continue getting new customers.
Yeah.
And right now, social media is everything. And right away, I saw you had a big social media following, and I'm like, how much do you use this? And you weren't using a lot. I'm like, you have to get somebody at that counter to help your customers when you come in. They give them that same feeling that you did for me and my wife when we came in, because you're tattooing. You're not always able to get up there and it's rude to a tattoo. That guy's sitting there too. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to take a 30-minute break, come back, and you hit cold skin again. That shit hurts.
Right.
Right. So you need somebody up there that A, can make those customers feel like that, and B, use that social media following to be prospecting the next customers. And I don't know how many tattoo shops do that.
I think, making media and content is way more work than it seems.
Oh, it is.
Like
It
way
is.
more work.
It is.
Even if it's like, oh, it's just a story.
It
Or
is.
just
And
a
then
post.
a follow up. When people start commenting, people start asking questions. Somebody has to follow up with those customers, or it's pointless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. I understand that. That's something I've learned just like, again, barely this year, or at least I've understood and applied, which is you can try to acquire all this attention, but like what after that?
Yeah.
And can you nurture it? Can you keep it? And then can you help them to be,
Yes.
in a way, in a business sense, can you help them to be ambassadors You know, are you like, I want to create ambassadors for my business. I don't just want a customer because a customer comes and goes. You just, that's just pop up shop somewhere. Customers are going to walk in, especially when the economy is good. But when things get tough, when things go to shit downhill, which I think is starting now economically for a lot of people, I think it's already started.
A little bit.
I think it's getting hard. And for that reason, you know, I want to do the things right so that I can weather those storms, weather those cold winters economically. And so that's something I've been having to understand is how to nurture those relationships.
I think the people that can afford to get a tattoo, I mean, that's a luxury expense.
Yeah.
That's an expense people do because they got a million different reasons, right? But I don't think anybody spends their last dime to get a tattoo. So if they're in there getting a tattoo, which, you know, they're not necessarily cheap, they probably have the extra dough to do it. You know what I mean? So it's the relationships, it's the word of mouth, it's the reputation that you build that's going to keep that channel coming in when times are tough.
Sure.
You know what I mean, this is a relationship business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It really is. That's probably you need to know how to tattoo, obviously.
Correct.
But I'm sure that there's bad tattoo artists that are really good persons that do very well.
Sure.
And I'm
I agree.
sure there's really good tattoo artists that don't do as well because they don't know how to communicate with people.
I think you're exactly right. And I've even thought about that over time where I think it's really important to, you know, like there's that conundrum of like, do you work harder or work smarter? Well, if you don't work smart as possible first, and then apply that to take all that and work really hard at it, anybody who works hard and smart is going to beat you. So you have to do both. And it's kind of the same thing, what you're talking about. You got to be able to do both to build those relationships and to make those connections, but also keep them, maintain them. And that's really what I believe I'm in the business of, because I'm sitting with you for, I mean, dude, we've spent more time together than most of my closest family in this last year because of the hours that it takes to do what we're doing. So, and even just doing this now, right? Which is cool. Which actually leads me to a question. We kind of talked about it behind the scenes earlier, but what made you want to join the show? Because I did ask you, I mentioned the show to you before. We talked about it a couple of times. I remember even one time that you had said, hey, there's this video I've been wanting to make about me talking about, you were explaining something about a nickname, I think. And I had mentioned to you, like, then get your phone out while you're saying this right now.
Oh, yes.
Before you say this,
I remember that.
get your phone out.
When the lady gave me the name Hammer.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's where it started, if I remember the conversation about the live stream or the show or whatever.
That might have been the first video I ever shot that wasn't a training video.
Okay.
Just a random video. That might have been the first one I ever did.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Right there in the seat.
Yeah, so he's getting tattooed. I'll kind of paint this picture a little. Curtis is getting tattooed on his back. So so far every tattoo I've done on you is on your back. So he's getting a big, huge back mural. It's actually pretty close to being completed. And he's talking to me about this story. He's saying he wanted to film and share where you got your nickname Hammer and the old lady who had given it to you. And as you're starting to tell it, the way you were telling it, a lot of people don't realize is exactly how you should tell it when you record it and share it. And some people think often that they have to polish it, but you don't. You just need to capture it. It's more of a document than it is a documentary or documenting than it is creating something, right? And if you can get past that, which no doubt cameras are weird. Like if we're just sitting here staring at cameras, it gets weird. Try doing it in this room by yourself.
Brody's
it gets
asking,
weird.
What's a back piece?
What is the back piece?
She says, what is
Okay. So your tattoo, it might be a little hard with the camera height. It might be a little weird,
Let me try.
but you could totally try. Bubba, do you could probably do it from there. There you go.
Right there.
So this is the back piece that we started not even a year ago. Maybe it was exactly a year ago.
Can
So
you see it right
there
there?
you go. So the eagle at the top is where we started. And then you got the lion in the center, and we've just built around it since then. Yep, that's huge. That looks huge on camera. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a lot of work. So there it is. And actually, it tells a story. We might as well get into that.
Okay.
So it tells a story. We started with the eagle, but I think the whole thing as a premise has quite a story. So why don't you explain that to us? It's a lot, huh? You're like, oh, do I even want to get into it?
I've only told a few people that story.
You don't. Yeah, you don't have to. You just tell them you got a lion because it represents courage.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So, I know you obviously gave me a lot of ideas for the back piece, and I put it together best I could, and we came up with concepts kind of on the fly, right? We sat down for a little while planning it, but would you say that it kind of took a life of its own? Like,
It is. Yeah, it's a story. It's a story. It's my story. So, for those who saw it right now, so the bottom piece is actually Motel Drive. For those of you who know what Motel Drive is, it's a very rough area in town. It's not a place you want to grow up, but that's where I grew up. I lived in a motel all my teenage years until I was an adult, until I was able to get out of there. So the bottom section there is a hotel, okay. Because I grew up very, very poor, and the lion stands for strength and courage, okay. Because even then, I knew I was going to get out of there, and I knew that this lifestyle would stop at me. My kids would never see this, right? And so this lion stands for strength and courage. The eagle is for freedom, and for freedom for me is freedom from poverty, freedom from that lifestyle. It's gone. So, and then take it even further, because I am spiritual. The rays coming through, the sun coming through the whole thing, all the way through the bottom. We haven't finished the plant yet, but there'll be one green plant coming, breaking through the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is God looking down on me in that shitty ass situation, knowing that I would come out of that okay.
Right. Something good would grow out of it.
Yeah. So
And that's really, looking at the back piece, to me, that's exactly what
it's
it
a
looks
story.
like.
It's a story. And what's funny is when I put it on my Instagram, my closest friends knew what the whole thing was right when they saw it. I didn't have to explain anything to them.
That's cool.
They knew what it was.
So it is very meaningful and purposeful.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It is.
awesome. It is very interesting for me to tattoo things on people that are, I remember as a kid going down Motel Drive, especially even back then.
Oh,
it
it's a
was,
shitty ass place to go.
yeah, not a good place. And now that I'm an adult, I can remember why I was probably being taken down there as a little kid in the back of a car while deals were being done, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting because for that story, to be so personal to you and having even some experience with it as a little kid myself. And I remember that feeling of like, when you first told me that you grew up there, lived there for a large portion of your life, that's the first thing I thought is I remember how uncomfortable I was as a little guy, 6, 7 years old, just being in that area. It just felt like this is not good. Like this isn't a good place. It's still, it's worse now.
I lived on that street till I was 17. Yeah, not fun.
What kind of lifestyle was that like? What are you what are you willing to share? What are you willing to dispel?
Well, it's all part of my past. It's brought me to where I am today. But when you live that lifestyle, you become a survivalist.
Yeah.
I was never a drug addict. I was around a lot of them, and I wanted out of that lifestyle. I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know how to separate myself from that, especially as a kid. The reason I was there is because that was the only place that wouldn't ID me, and they would let me pay weekly rent
Okay.
at the hotel. They let me pay by the week. But to get that money with no job, and I wasn't in school, you have to do things that may not be the right things to do. And I was a car thief. So
Okay.
I stole cars for all my teenage years to pay for living.
Interesting.
And now, oddly enough, I'm a car salesman.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually quite like
Yeah,
full circle.
yeah. I've been earning money off cars since I was a kid.
Right. Both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was there a pivotal point in that experience that like you talked about the tattoo having the meaning of the plant growing through the broken asphalt? Was there a pivotal point, or was there just always clarity that this was never going to stay, this was not going to remain who I am?
Yeah, there was never a question that I wasn't gonna. I don't know how, but even as a kid in that environment, and anybody that grew up with me would be able to tell you that this is not made up. But I knew I was going to be successful. See, this is stuff that sounds cocky for me to talk about, and I would tell you one-on-one, but with a whole audience is a little strange for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I knew when I was a kid I was going to be a millionaire. I just didn't know how yet, but I knew I was. And that's all I talked about. And people thought I was full of shit.
Sure.
But then people started believing it. Even when I was a kid and I didn't have a way to get there yet, I talked about it so much that people started believing it. And it was weird. They would tell other people, oh yeah, this Curtis, Curtis is going to be a millionaire. It was weird. Because that's all I fucking talked about. It was like, this is not me. This is not how I'm living my life. I'm going to fucking be successful.
Did you think
I didn't know how yet. I didn't know how.
Was it a feeling that you were like, yeah, I'm going to do it ethically, morally, or
Oh,
legally?
yeah, no, legally, yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Like you didn't think, I don't care what I have to do.
No. I didn't want that lifestyle. That's what the only thing I knew how to do at that time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And actually an old man, he's passed now, an old man named Bob Papazian took me under his wing, treated me like his own kid, right? And when I was 16, he started working me under the table. I told you this.
Yeah.
The first job I did was on the tattoo building. I did the roof on that job. I was carrying the rolls of tar up on top of the roof so we could roof it, right? He owned that building.
Okay.
But he took me under his wing. He didn't pay me jack shit, but he taught me so much. Taught me about life. Taught me how to manipulate money. I can remember one time, this guy is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and we were driving. I was driving with him, and he went to the bank. He goes, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go make my truck payment." And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck you got a truck payment for, right? And then when he came back out, I'm like, "Bob, so how come you got a truck payment?" And he was like, "Curtis, you never use your own money if somebody's willing to lend you their money."
Okay.
And I didn't understand that. You know what I mean? That was just one life lesson. He taught me so many lessons. So I worked with him. Now, what he paid me wasn't enough to pay bills because he paid me under the table. Right? He paid me $5 an hour. So I worked for him for $5 an hour until I was 19. Right? But that wasn't enough to pay bills. So I still stole cars after work and on the weekends, and to sell stuff out of them and pay bills, right? And then, and I remember one time I asked him for a raise, and he told me, "What I'm teaching you, you won't learn in college. You should be paying me."
Okay.
And I was like, but I was young, and all I heard was, "So you're not giving me a raise?"
Right.
You know, I'm like, not even a fucking dollar. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
shit. So I worked with him until I was 20 years old, and then I finally had to part ways. I had to earn more money.
Sure.
He wasn't willing to pay it, but the lessons that old man taught me, I still use today. That guy
cool.
taught me so much. It was incredible how much he taught me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
it was
interesting.
It was very weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool though. That I like that how that works because I do think whoever your mentors are, you're supposed to grow out of them.
Yeah. And looking back, I couldn't have paid for that. I couldn't pay for that. And even though it was a struggle at that time, it's been so valuable my entire life. I mean, he taught me everything from mental solutions to being able to physically fix. I mean, he taught me everything. He really treated me like a kid.
That's cool.
Like his kid.
That was
You know what I mean?
so that was
yeah.
very important.
Oh, that was a huge part of my life. Huge part of my life. So his house was on Friant and Willow. Copper and Willow.
Okay.
There's a lot of houses out there now. He used to own all the property, and there was one house on the mountain that was his, and he had all the property there. There was no houses out there yet, and I lived on Motel Drive, so I had to ride my bicycle from Motel Drive to there, which took about 2 hours, and work started at 7, so I had to leave about 5:15 at the latest to ride to there, and I don't know. It's just I learned a lot from him, man.
That's
It's really
cool.
cool. It was really cool.
So without that, you probably, I mean, you couldn't imagine.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I still had in my mind, because I mean, I certainly didn't get wealthy off him,
Right.
but everything he taught me definitely, improved my life. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So that it's like the idea of mentorship, which is something I think me and you are both very passionate about. I know we are. And that's a big deal because without it, that's part of like what you were saying earlier. I can't remember now if this was off camera or not, but the giving back part, just that idea of just sharing that, right? Giving back that it's really cool to need that information and then learn it and then be able to give it back.
Well, maybe that's why I get such a kick out of helping other kids now. You know what I mean? Because I have kids. When you start the car business, nobody thinks they're going to be a car salesman as a career. Everybody starts there until I find a real job, right? So when I get these youngsters come in and I hear their stories and they even sound something similar to mine, it doesn't work out for all of them, but I can't help but get excited because I'm like, here's another opportunity to do this again, because I've affected so many of these kids' lives in a positive way. So and also what it does for my own conscience is it helps me fucking relieve the guilt of all the bad shit I did when I was a kid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I still carry guilt for that too. You know what I mean? But every time I help somebody, in my mind, when I got to face my fucking maker and explain my shit, I could help maybe offset some of the damage done.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's weird, huh?
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. I have, I mean, it's hard for me to relate to the car stealing part because I think I stole a girlfriend's car once and when I was a little kid and we drove to the beach, but that's as close as I got to that story.
Yeah.
But I definitely can think of some really dumb things I did, especially regarding people violently. Like as a kid, I was very aggressive. And so there's still things I think about to this day. It'll pop in my head. That I'm like, man, that was dumb. Why'd I do that? Even if it was justified, it still feels stupid, you know?
So
a lot of times.
The shit I lose sleep over is not a car. It's, you know, how many cars did I take that were a single family car?
Right.
How many people lost their jobs, they couldn't get to work? How many people possibly couldn't pay their rent because I took their car and they lost their job? So I you know, the trickle effect affects me sometimes.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
understand.
mean? So it's like, so I feel like, you know, not only do I get a joy out of helping these other people and helping these kids and learn how to do their life, and even my high earners, I try to really help them learn how to manage their money and what to do with it, because not everybody does. They just blow it,
Yeah.
right? But it also helps clear my conscience because I'm going, I have to, God's gifted me with something and I have to pay it forward because I fucked a lot of people's lives up.
Okay. And so now you're not just fixing them, but you're paying it back and helping.
Trying, man, I'm trying. I don't know if it'll ever work, but I'm trying.
Well, I think that's all that actually matters. It's not our job to decide whether it works. It's our job just to walk the path, I think.
Yeah.
Just
what
do
can
that.
you do? What can you do?
So I would love to ask you a couple more questions before we get into actual questions from the viewers here. Thanks, guys, for still watching and jumping on. Appreciate your patience. Hope you're enjoying this part of the show. We will get to the Q&A here momentarily. But Curtis, if I can ask you in regards to training, right? Because I got a lot of apprentices and people in the shop, whether they're artists or even actually entrepreneurial spirited type people, they'll a lot of times hear my sort of dialogue and they'll jump in, whether they're at the shop or just in life in general. You probably get this too, where people, they kind of cue in, right? They zero in and all of a sudden start asking questions. You could tell this person's got some sort of, you know, interest in this sort of topic, especially in the personal growth part, which can sound really cheesy, but I think it's the most important thing we'll ever do. And so do you think there's some stuff, well, I know you know some stuff that you could share with us in regards to how you train people or what the giving back part looks like and what you're giving them and like some of the obstacles you're trying to overcome with training people or teaching them how to, whatever it is in the car business, or just even personal growth?
So it's almost like a series of events, right? So if I start talking to a 19, 20-year-old kid about any of these things that we're talking about, this is way too far down the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're not even thinking about money yet. Most of these kids are still living with mom and dad. They have very little responsibilities. If you find a 19, 20-year-old kid that comes to you and is actually money driven, that's like a fucking unicorn. That's rare, right? Most of these kids are just looking for something to do, but more importantly is they want to feel good about themselves. They need attaboys. They need that positive reinforcement that they're doing something good.
Okay.
So it's almost a series of, you give them positive reinforcement, and they're begging for it. You know, they're constantly looking for your approval. You know, they want to know they're doing a good job, which I think everybody does, right? If somebody's paying you to do something, you want to know you're doing a good job, right? That's natural, right? So they really want to be assured that they're doing well and that they're appreciated for what they're doing, right? So you get through that stage, right? And then as they start doing a good job and that positive recognition, that positive reinforcement, they learn what to do, what not to do. Then they go into where they're more money motivated, because now they actually start making a few dollars. So once they start making money, you got to find a purpose for them. Otherwise they'll burn out and they don't know what to do with the money. And then they'll do bad shit with the money.
Okay.
Go out drinking every weekend, partying, get a fucking DUI. Happens all the time. Get a DUI, do something stupid.
So how do you help them with that?
I got to coach them to it. Because I went through those problems. And when I was coming up in the car business, nobody taught you that shit. They just wanted to put you in debt, you know, so that way they thought you had to sell cars because you got so much debt.
Okay.
And that just stresses people out, and they don't enjoy working there.
Right. So you're trying to help them become a well-rounded person.
Yes, yes, yes. Once they start making money, I want to help them find their purpose. What are you going to do with it? How's this going to change your life? Whose life are you going to change? How do you get there? What part? A lot of people don't know they need to pay themselves. I'm like, they randle off their bills. I'm like, where are you at in there? What do you mean? I'm like, you got to be your first payment. If you're working, you got to pay yourself first. You're the first payment. Everybody else comes second. So I start teaching them how to manage their money, right? Once the money starts flowing and they start figuring that out, then you start teaching them how to be success driven, where the successes are what gets you fired up, the wins. How many W's can you stack? How many, how far can you push yourself beyond what you thought you were able to do?
Yeah.
And then you don't got to worry about the money no more. The money just flows with it.
Because you got to show them
Right.
that potential.
Yes. You start teaching them how to be success driven, right? And once they get good at that and they're success driven, the wins are what motivate them. Now you got to pay it forward.
Interesting.
Now you got to grab somebody else and you got to pull them up, and you got to do the same thing. You got to do the same thing, because by that point, now I put them in some type of management position, and it's their responsibility to grab the next guy and do the same thing.
What is this?
Right.
What is this timeline? I know it's going to be a little different, but what does this timeline look like for people?
3 years, 4 years.
Is there ever a time where you see this and you go, "Oh, this is going to be way sooner," or "This can be way longer"?
Yeah. There's exceptions. Normally, the exceptions, they understand human psychology very well. It comes very natural to them. They understand why people are saying what they're saying, or what they mean when they are saying this, or what they really mean, even though the person saying it may not know what they mean, but the person listening to it does. So the people that understand the psychology very quickly, that come very natural to them, they go through these motions much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go through it much quicker because it's the psychology that drives them. They want to get to the success-driven part much faster, because that's what motivates them.
Okay.
It's strange.
Yeah, it
and
is.
then they want to get to the helping others learn how to do it at a much faster pace.
So a little bit of a side note, but to the
very
topic,
strange.
what do you think that there's for a lot of people? Because I find this to be true. A lot of people are not money motivated. Like, they won't tell you this, but they are very money motivated. They seem to keep going to jobs they hate for shit wages.
So there's two people that say they're not money motivated. Okay. One are people that don't want to put in the work that's required. So they say, I'm not motivated by money up front.
It's cop out.
It's a cop out, because I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the work, right? The second one has never been in a position where they needed money.
Okay.
If you've ever been fucking broke, or if you've ever had somebody you cared about that called you and needed some help, and you did not have the resources to help them, then you would never say money's not everything, or I don't need money. Because even when you don't think you do, there's times you do.
Sure.
And if it ain't for yourself, it's for somebody else. And if you don't got two pennies to rub together to help a family member that might need help with a medical bill that their insurance don't cover,
You're motivated.
yes.
If you're in that
yes.
scenario, you're motivated.
So sometimes these are the challenges I have sometimes with these kids that have no bills. They live with their parents. It's like, you got to look beyond yourself. Okay, maybe you don't need that. You know what I mean? But what happens if this happens? What would you do? And how would you feel and be able to tell them, I don't have it. Yes, I work 40 hours a week. Yes, I've made good money, but I blew it all. I drank it all. I can't help you. Sorry.
Right.
So sometimes these people have to look, you got to look beyond your own situation and look at even worst case scenarios. But there's always reasons. So somebody who says, money's not everything, or I don't need money. No, either A, you don't want to put in the work, so you're putting that front up, or B, you've never been in a position where you really fucking needed it.
Sure.
You've been either someone's catered to you, or maybe you grew up in a very good lifestyle, but at some point that won't be there.
Yeah.
And you'll be the one they call on, and you'll have to say, I don't have it.
I find that I make a lot more money when I have to. Like, when I absolutely have to, like kind of what you're saying, but and you can put yourself in that scenario. What do you think about that? Like, you just bought something or purchased or sold or did something, and now you're like, I got to make it.
We're just in a different spot right now. You know
Okay.
what I mean? I don't think about the money no more. I am success driven, man. I love fucking success. I love bringing people up. I have my closest friends all work for me, and well, you know this. I'm constantly looking for what can I add on. Now I have to figure out what can I add on that requires minimal amount of time with the biggest return.
Sure.
Because I don't have time no more. But it's the success just drives me. You know what I mean? It's like you want to push it. How far can you go? How far can you stretch yourself before something snaps? I want to know. I want to know.
That's interesting. I feel the same exact way, and I'm sure we are in a large degree in different scenarios, or at least different positions and different seasons in this sort of way.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I'm definitely one of those people that, like, people ask me a lot of times, especially growing up, I would just let people know I want to be super rich. That would just be the words I would use.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it often because it's kind of like admitting something that's embarrassing.
It
know?
is. It is.
Yeah, because people don't want to hear it. And
It's-
they're like, oh, well, money
It's
is
still
important.
today. Honestly, this feels awkward saying this on a mic.
Yeah.
This feels awkward for me. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
people judge you. There's a whole lot of people out there that don't know anything about me, but they're listening to this show right now, and they're making whatever judgments they're going to make.
Yeah.
So that's strange to me. You know what I mean? I'd much rather be talking to somebody that wants what I have to offer and is receiving it in a positive way and is actually going to use it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a much more comfortable conversation for me, and that's a conversation that I feel good about because I know I'm impacting somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you're just talking in general, it almost feels like you're bragging or you're
Sure.
or you're. It's a little awkward.
See, I do see a lot of people using that tactic, especially for, I think, younger people, using the tactic of the flash, right? Playing the game and showing the sort of flashy stuff so that they can then lure them in, which I think is a tactic. I don't know if it's necessarily something I would ever be that interested in. But I do see a lot of that. So I think people maybe take it that way, that somebody's trying to be maybe flashy, but I've kind of just accepted the fact that a lot of people, especially my personal conversations between somebody, they might think, like, people will ask me, what's something you're working on right now? I'm literally just learning how to turn my business into $1 million a year business. I'm just trying to has nothing to do with the $1 million. Has everything to do with
the goal.
I'm going to have to do something. I have to figure this out.
It's the goal.
And once I can figure this out, now I know what I hate is being in a position where you think this is how it gets done. And then you go and tell somebody, oh, this is how it. No, man. Until you've done it, you pretty much just need to listen, put your head down, right, and just get on the grind. And I love that part, right?
So remember I told you about Bob, the old man, okay? So I can remember one time I was telling him about, because I used to try to get information from him all the time. I always wanted to know more, you know what I mean? And looking back, I was probably pretty fucking annoying, but I always wanted to know more, right? And I can remember telling him one time, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was telling him, like, this guy told me, you know, this. He said I should do it this way. And he told me back then, he goes, Curtis, if somebody's giving you financial advice and they're not in a position that you want to be in someday, it's probably not good advice. And I'm like, no, but you don't understand. And he's like, Curtis, you just need to trust me on that. I'm like, now it makes all the sense.
Yeah, I
mean,
feel that way.
And they might not be saying bad things, but they might be going through their own trial and error. And if you haven't experienced it yet, it's still trial and error.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a famous quote that says that even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
And so it's just not really worth going and sifting through all the shit to find a little bit of gold.
But now too, everybody has good ideas. So sometimes you'll hear something. That's why, like in my training sessions, like if I'm doing with my employees or whatever the case is, I do a lot of round robin training sessions because I like different ideas. So sometimes people will come up with something, or they'll say something in a scenario, and I'll grab that and I'll go, fuck, that was good right there. I'm going to grab that. I'm banking that right there. I like that. Whatever it was. I can't think of a scenario off the top of my head. But it might come from somebody who may not even know it was good, but they just lob something out there, and I'm like, that works. That's fucking good right there, you know? And this guy may say something that this guy can grab onto, and vice versa, so forth. So I do love group settings, round robins, sharing ideas, role playing with different team members, you know, because so I'm not saying that I'm not open to hearing everything everybody else to offer, because I am, because I grab stuff from people all the time. But when it comes to taking financial risks, I really want to talk to somebody who's actually done it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I think
'Cause
it's
it's those things cost money.
something, yeah, costs money. It's like your physical health. It costs time and literally time maybe off your life if you're not careful and taking advice from somebody who just doesn't have it. Like I would like to listen and I've done this a lot over the years.
Time's the hardest thing to get back, man.
Yeah.
It's
That's a hard one.
That's the one thing that slips away so fucking fast is the time. So that's the concerns now. It's like, okay, if I take this risk and if it takes this amount of time and it don't work, I can't get that time back.
So you have to make sure that there's something in it to some
There has
extent.
to be a reward for the time.
Yeah.
The time spent.
Even if you lost the money, you lost the opportunity.
Once you have an entrepreneur mind, you'll figure out a way to get the money back. It
Yeah.
always comes back, but the fucking time's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the time is so important.
Yeah. I like to look at a lot of older people who are living a type of life that by that age I would probably like to live, especially the healthy, happy, like just very spiritual, very down to earth, fit people at 80, 90, 100 plus years old, and seeing them, playing games still to stay young, like physical games, and taking advice from those people is really important. And it's the same thing with, I think, money. It's the same thing with relationships. Same thing with your spiritual relationship. It's the same thing. Looking at those people and finding that.
It is. It's all the way around. It's the full circle. It's the whole circle. When you find the right person in your life, that was game changer for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how important that was when I didn't have it, because you just don't know what you don't know, right? And then when you actually have it, you realize how important that is. I mean, that's a really, really big part. Who you spend most of your time with, who you have in your life, that's a big part of the whole thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, health's a big fucking part. You got to. Health is so important to me. I mean, that's a big part of the whole circle. And people, they don't realize how important it is.
Yeah.
That's got to be number one. Your health's got to be number one. Your physical health, your mental health, that's got to be number one, and then everything else will follow.
Yeah, I think you're actually right, because this is the machine we're using to get life done, and that we're experiencing life through this machine. And so you better take care of it, because the
100%.
quality of your life is what you're experiencing it
100%.
through. And I think the same thing with spirituality. If you want to be connected to God, for me, it's really hard to do if I feel like shit and I'm not caring for myself. If I'm trashing myself mentally and physically, then I feel like spiritually I'm pretty trashed.
So even when it comes to God, so in my life, there's times that shit gets very stressful, right? And a lot of people don't know when I'm ever stressed out, because I really make a conscious effort to not show it, right? But there's times inside when I'm stressed, and dude, if I just have a moment with God in my head and I say, take this from me, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. You do it. You guide me. Get this off my head, and just let it go. And then I just go with the flow. I just go, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is already written out. It's going to happen. So I got to quit stressing on it, and we just go. And it just works itself out.
It's
works itself out.
It's weird you say that, because it might sound like you're saying if you just sit around, things will just work out.
No, you got to push.
Sure.
You got to push. You got to continue doing what you're supposed to do. But you can't let the stress or the anxiety of the situation just immobilize you. You can't just stop.
Let it deplete you.
Yeah, because it'll fuck you up. You know what I mean? It just it paralyzes you.
It'd be like worrying about the weather and you have zero effect.
You don't
on
have
it.
control over it. You don't have control over it. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way.
But those moments when I talk to God about that gives me a release where I could just let it go. I just go, God, just you deal with this so I can focus on this. Whatever happens, happens.
That's cool.
And it works itself out.
I have, like I was saying before, earlier in this episode, that when I turned 40, so almost exactly a year ago, that's what I mentioned about meeting you, which was a blessing, because I had literally just said a prayer like, look, I understand. And a few things were very clear to me when I turned 41. It was quite an interesting moment that I realized at 40 years old, I became quite a bit more like my father than I ever expected to be. And I'm really proud of that. My stepdad, David. And I was really proud of that, very excited, I should say, thankful. And then I realized this was a huge epiphany that I'd had that I think led me to our relationship, in my opinion. So kind of a backstory for you to understand probably what draws me to you isn't cool cars or fitness or money or really any of that stuff, as much as it's this one thing. So 40 years old, I'd realized I'd actually a lot of people that watch this know that I was hiking on a mountain, and I didn't quite get to the top, but it was a hard hike. Anyway, so I'm coming down this mountain. I'm going home on my 40th birthday, and I was all by myself. Had this long 3-hour conversation with God in the woods. I get back to the van, and usually when you see that after 5-6 days of being out there, just treacherous territory, you look at your car and you're like, oh, I made it. I paused for about 15 minutes in that moment, and I was like, I'm not ready. I have this thing going on in my head. I was
Really?
this really
So
weird.
you're in the moment.
I was in something deep, and I remember thinking, whoa, like it was like a gift that was shown to me that you've became like the man you most admire, which was my father. And I was like, wow. It wasn't like chills or excitement. It was this really strange, deep, thick feeling of like, okay, it's really impossible to explain other than remarkable. And I remember thinking, okay, so just reveal the path to me, because I've done it Josh's way all up till now. And I'm now interested in just finding what's God's path for me, and let me treat that with the least amount of resistance, is kind of what you're saying, as possible, and just guide me.
Yeah, because you want to do it yourself,
Sure.
and it's stressful. It's stressful.
Yeah, like trying to control the weather.
100%.
And so then I just said, like, just show me the way. And that's when we met. And right around that time, I was thinking, like, I don't have a lot of like-minded people. And in my estimation, and I've said this to many people before already about us, and about a few other people in the meantime that I have not just met, but also got closer to, that I already knew, that I've never respected anybody other than a God-fearing man my whole life. Now, I've been an atheist. I've gone down that path of saying this and misunderstanding words and all these things, playing that game. And what I realized was, I've never, like I said, even with my father being, the man I most admire, and I've never looked up to, I should say. I've never looked up to and admired a man that wasn't a God-fearing man. And that's when all kinds of stuff started changing for me, is by just recognizing that one thing made me go, oh, whoa, that was weird. And then that's, like I said, I think, so that's, to me, in my experience, that's where we started.
So what's weird for me, because I think anybody, on the subject of God, and Brody asked a question a second ago, I'm going to answer right now, but on the subject of God, because everybody, I think everybody, if they talk to themselves deep down inside, there's always like that, is it real, right?
Right.
So, but even for me, when I live my life conscious of, somebody greater than me is watching my decisions and so forth, I live a better life. So, I want God to be real, and I hope everything is what it's supposed to be. And I feel guilty for even saying that. But at the same time, when I live that life, I still live a better life, and I have a better conscience. So either direction, it's a better life for me.
It's kind of like health in a way. Everybody has all kinds of different information, tons. There's a few fundamentals people believe in, but you could really get into the weeds with details. How much water to drink, protein, exercise, all these things you can get lost in. But you might find this one person who's like, here's what I did, and here's my results, and here's the reality of it. And it's totally different than you, because we are different. And it's not true, right? It doesn't make it true or not true. It just means, but it works. And if it works, to me, that's enough evidence of something being real. Then I don't need anything else.
So Brody asked a question on, what's he said there?
Is there any books
that help me with my business? So for me, Brody, there's a lot of good books. So I didn't go to school, so I'm not a great reader. So I don't enjoy reading.
Yeah.
I've bought a lot of fucking books, hoping that if I bought it, I'd read it. There's 2 sitting on my kitchen table right now, and my wife's like, "Why'd you buy those? You're not gonna do it." And I haven't touched them, right? But there's a lot of good books out there. If I enjoyed reading more, I'm sure I'd read them. What I enjoy is face-to-face interactions, when I could deal with people that are successful. So still to this day, I'll pay to go to a lot of seminars with people that I'm interested in meeting and talking to, and I'll have those interactions with them. I have next month. You said your birthday's next month, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's still August right now. Yes, September.
Oh, you're in September. Okay, mine's in October. So in October, I'm going to another Andy Elliott event where it's going to be Andy Elliott and Wes Watson there.
Oh yeah, I remember you sent me the link to that.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to talk to both of those guys, you know what I mean? And like you said earlier, like you don't like to pick people's brain. If I know I only have a small window of time with somebody, and they have information that I want, I might start the conversation slow, But once I get in that moment and I'm like, this is my opportunity, I need to get as much information as I can, I'll just fucking hog it up as much as I can until they're annoyed with me, and then I'm done. And
Sure.
I'm like, I don't care.
Get what you can.
I'll get what I can. I get what I can.
But
if I know I have
paid for it.
yes, yeah,
So-
and the shit's not cheap either.
Yeah.
But if I know I have a long-term relationship with somebody, I don't have to pick their brain. I'll learn it just by being exposed to them, and we'll learn it in conversation and just being around each other.
Yeah, I
You know what I
agree.
mean? But if I only have a small window and they got something I want, information, I'll try and dig it out, even if it means I got to be annoying or an asshole. Fuck it,
But yeah, I mean, you got to get it done.
I got to get it out. I
Yeah,
gotta get it out.
I feel you on that.
So
Have
to
you ever
answer your
tried to-
question, Brody, there's a lot of good books out there. I'm just not a reader because I don't enjoy it, but I enjoy meeting people and talking in person.
So, do you ever do audiobooks?
Yes. Well, I'll listen to different things on YouTube all the time.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm driving back and forth to Tracy. I told you about that. I drive back and forth to Tracy 4 times a week right now because we just bought a store out there. I'm listening to educational stuff that'll help me and help the growth of my people. I'm listening to that stuff all the time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You name it. I mean,
I don't think it's a whole lot different than reading, in my opinion, in
No.
terms of what you get out of it.
yeah.
Because I
it's
do
just-
both.
It's easier for me to listen, especially I'm driving anyway. I got 2.5 hour drive. You know, so that gets me through the drive anyway. And
Very
by the
cool.
time I get there, and you know, when I get to where I'm going, the people that are expecting me to show up, they're expecting me to come in hot. So this information helps me anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I learned 3-4 new things on the way there, and I'm coming in with fire. You know what I mean? But I wish I was a better reader. I don't read well, nor do I spell very good. I spell like shit. But everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. So because I do a lot of stuff on a whiteboard. So if they could kind of see what the word means, they know what it means.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Oh, I'm fucking horrible at it. But they know what it means. If I get close enough, it's close enough, you know? And
As long as the point is going.
there's always somebody that wants to correct you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, correct away.
Yeah. I'm good with numbers.
Yeah, I think as long as the message is relayed is what's really important. That's why for me, it doesn't
But
matter
I
if
wish
it's
I
books.
was a better reader, and I wish that I could sit there and whip through the book. But and I can become a better reader, but I can't become interested in it. It just doesn't interest me.
Man.
Again, the time for the value. I don't. It doesn't interest me enough to give up the time.
I've been using Audible a lot over the years, and just this last couple of months, because I've bought a few books that I want to read desperately, and I start and I don't finish because it's like, dude, I got other stuff to do right now that is far more important than me stopping and reading that. And then I think, okay, but what if there's something in there, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, it gets to the point to where I have to decide what to do. Like, what am I going to use here? I believe in further education forever. Like, I'm never going to stop learning. So Audible is it's not a plug at all. This is just something I use as a tool. It's just an audio book program that you could purchase books on. It's remarkably still very expensive compared to like a hardback or something. And listen to it on like 1.5 or 1.7 speed and just be soaking it in while I'm driving or walking or doing my exercise. Never when I'm like lifting or weightlifting or doing something dangerous. I wouldn't want to be distracted. But walking, like I can listen for an hour doing a fast walk or a hike or a backpacking trip or something. I'll take these devices and actually listen to them for hours. And some of these books at 1.5 or 1.7 speed, I try to do 2 times speed. It's just too much. For a lot of speakers, it's way too fast.
I've never tried it. I've never tried
But
it.
man, you can get so much in 3 hours.
I've never tried it.
It's almost too much. You have to stop with a notepad and be like, oh, wait.
So I got a book that I just bought a couple days ago, $150 fucking book. It's sitting on my kitchen table right now. It's by Aaron Reed. He's a professional bodybuilder, but he understands food and how the body works to a T. But macros, calories in, calories out. He knows how he's learned the science of food.
Okay.
Very, very well. And then right now I'm on the road a lot. So I'm trying to always figure out how do I continue to eat healthy, while being on the road, you know what I mean? Which is not easy, And so I bought this book. I'm like, all right, I'm going to read this fucking thing up and down. It's been on my table for like a week.
Yeah. It's hard. It is hard.
Yeah. I need Brody to come read it for me.
Yeah. Brody, she's probably a good reader. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. I hope you guys are enjoying this part of the show. Curtis, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. We got questions people submitted. So most of them a lot of times are going to be tattoo related. But if we could get into the questions first that are coming in through the stream, and then if we have we gotten to them all, Bub?
For the most part.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions and you want to open it up now, or we're opening it up now, go ahead if you for Curtis or for me as well. You guys send the questions now. Send them and we will answer them. We also have some questions that are coming in through Facebook and Instagram, so we can do that as well. It looks like we got a lot of you on here, the OGs, Christy, Rochelle, Brody, Dambria, thank you. We appreciate you guys, of course.
Thank you, brother.
Looks like you guys have quite the conversations even in the chat, which is cool. But if you have questions, now's the time.
Yeah, they're talking to each other.
Yeah, they do that.
Did I tell you that we did a Spartan the other day?
I remember you mentioned you were going to do one.
Mm-hmm. So we did a Spartan this last weekend in San Jose, and it was a tough one. And one of the people that were coming with us, and me and him were actually having a competition in a Spartan, right? And he brings a fucking gallon of Jameson on Friday night.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Yeah, and I'm the only one that drinks whiskey there, right? Everybody else is vodka drinkers, right? So he brings a gallon of whiskey and he brings a gallon of vodka, right? And the next morning when I get up on Saturday morning, the morning of the race, the bottle of vodka, which is a gallon, is half gone. And the bottle of whiskey is half gone. And I'm the only one sipping on this whiskey, dude. That was a fucked up day.
Yeah, you're feeling it.
Oh, that was a fucked up day, dude.
Yeah, that's hard.
That was oh man, I lost it all over that track, dude. That was all bad.
No bueno. But you finished it.
No, I did not.
Oh, no, it got you.
Yeah, it took me down.
No.
I'm gonna try and I gotta redeem myself next year on that one. That's the only time I've ever not finished a Spartan track.
Wow.
I had to get towed back in. That was embarrassing.
That sounds like it would feel
It was
terrible.
so bad. It was so bad. And my wife, so the one I did was like 7 miles, maybe 7.5. Hers was 15.5. She did the 15.5. And when we got back to the hotel, we had an Airbnb. She's ready to go out on the town, go partying, like nothing happened. I'm dying.
Wow.
She's ready to roll, like nothing happened.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's Asian though.
Okay.
Yeah, they're built different.
Yeah.
They don't stop. They don't stop.
That's
they don't
true.
stop.
She's all in it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've never done one of those. I don't know if it's.
Don't do it. It
No.
sucks.
Yeah, I don't think.
Don't do it.
It's not that I don't like doing hard things. I think it's a little too communal. I think there's too many people for me, but I think for people who will enjoy that, and I've heard a lot of. I've actually done a podcast episode before with Nicole McManus, which was I think one of my definitely one of my first 5 episodes ever years ago, and she was the Ultra Beast winner in Tahoe, I believe, and she placed in the top 10 even of men. And the Ultra Beast is you run it twice.
Yep.
And she topped in. She was the only woman to be in the top 10.
No,
so
I'm
that
just
was
kidding.
pretty.
So you should do it because of that shit. I'll just fuck with you. You should do it. But don't do it drunk and hungover.
For sure.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That doesn't sound like any
No,
fun.
it absolutely sucks. But if you do it and your accomplishment, it does feel good. It does give you an accomplishment. It sucks when you're doing it, but when you're done, it does feel good. It's like a good workout when you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think, once you're done, once you're doing it, I feel like you're at least proud of what you're doing.
There's a couple women that go right here to the gym I go to in Fresno called Warrior Fitness. There's a couple chicks right here that are badasses, dude. I mean, world-class athletes that they're right here local. I mean, and both of them actually hold records in different things, and they're bad, and they're right here in local.
Yeah, like I told you, Nicole, she's from here as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's local.
There's some good athletes here.
What's really trippy, and no offense, Nicole, she doesn't really watch these, but she's still on my social media feeds. She's awesome. She's a killer. But looking at her, I mean, honestly, I mean this in all respect. I mean, she's very healthy looking. She looks great, especially for being a mother and her age and everything. God, I'm digging myself in a hole. She's not old. Anyway, she looks great and she's a wonderful human, but nothing about her would you think, oh man, she would run circles around me.
Well, what's funny is in those type of events, the guys who are like buff or carry more muscle, it's actually a little bit harder because the lactic acid builds up so fast and you get tired.
Yeah,
You get tired.
a lot to move around.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
this girl's
The
she's
people
fit.
who have less body mass, and sometimes people even have more body fat, do better in those type of events.
Interesting.
It is.
Because it's more of
weird.
it's an endurance thing.
Yeah, and it embarrasses the shit out of you. Because somebody runs past you, they like, oh my God, this should not be happening right now. Okay,
Right.
I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And yeah, it's different.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do one, but I do respect the people who partake. That seems very brutal. Some of the backpacking trips I like, they suffice for me. They put me in a position where it's like, this is dangerous. This is bad. I've lost it. I'm operating on 0 calories left. Like I've burnt. I remember one time wearing one of those little Fit bands, what Fitbit or something it was called, and I'd burnt 18,000 calories in one day.
How's
And
that possible?
oh, I went into essentially, I was shutting down completely. Like I should have not been doing what I was doing. And I ate probably about 3,500 calories that day. It was insane. And I got back home and was like, literally like, I couldn't drive. When I go back to the car, it was late at night. But doing stuff like that is pretty intense, but doing it solo is even more dangerous.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. Well, you pulled everything out of you right there too.
Completely.
People's intestines start shutting down at that point.
I-
Things start going
For sure.
bad.
I could have definitely killed
Yeah,
myself.
Yeah,
for sure.
Things start going bad.
But see, when you're in that position, once it gets there, you're not
What
in
are
it.
you gonna do? You can't turn around.
Yeah, and you're not thinking clearly either. I was like, I just want to get to the top. I just want to get to the top. Finally got to the top, looked around, it was remarkable, and I turned around and was like, oh my gosh, I got to get back home now. And downhill obviously is a lot easier when you're in that position because there's less effort, but it's still hard.
You don't keep any supplies on you.
Oh,
to
I
help you with that?
I should have spent the
What
night.
was in your backpack?
Very little because I didn't want to carry a bunch of heavy weight up up a mountain. And I'm kind of even embarrassed to say what mountain because it shouldn't have been so bad, but I literally lost trail. It was way too early in the season. The snow was covering, like you pretty much had to just cross country it. And I had very little in my backpack because I didn't want to spend the night. It was just enough for the day. Well, seemingly just enough for the day.
This wasn't Pincushion, was it?
No, God.
Right here at Millerton, was
3
it?
miles, 1.5 miles. No, this was Kaiser Peak, right above Shaver, the mountain above Shaver. It's about 3.5. I think it's almost 4,000 foot elevation gain in a very short distance. But because I got lost, I went 3 times the distance I should have because I was navigating simply just by observation.
Is this past the actual lake?
So if
Shaver?
you go up to the power station up there, the hydro station, and take a right.
So I've never been past the lake.
So if you go to the lake, like the town of Shaver, or the lake shore, I'm sorry, not Shaver. Did I say Shaver?
You
Huntington.
saying Shaver, yeah.
So Huntington is the lake. I'm sorry. I was just
So
at Shaver. So
is Huntington past
Yeah.
Shaver? So I've never been past Shaver.
So if you go all the way
that's
past Shaver, another 30 minutes, you're going to get Huntington. There's a powerhouse on the right, and it's this huge hydro plant. If you take a right there, there's plenty of awesome places you can go up there. But you go up the mountain a little bit, and there's a trailhead. Well, I didn't take that trailhead. That's the easier trailhead. I went to the other side of them, the south side of the mountain, essentially, at the bottom side. And I took a back country route up this mountain. And it was, I remember I felt myself shutting down. I couldn't think. I couldn't make good decisions. It was super bad. It was super bad. Anyway, I don't recommend that to anybody. I was totally out of it. But those are the types of things.
My wife would want to do that with you. You guys can do that.
I'll probably have to go back this time with GPS so that I know I'm on trail and more prepared. I think if I was prepared, honestly, it wouldn't have been a quarter as bad as it was the time I went. So anyway, I like doing those things.
Okay, it looks like people are actually hooking up on here.
Oh, nice! Not as gorgeous as you. Oh, we need some. What is this?
Look
Hold
at
on.
this.
What's going on
Cupid.
here? The moon is gorgeous.
Ah, there you
Not
go.
as gorgeous as you. Oh, thank you. You guys are
Look at that.
silly. That's great, though. All right, so we're going to get to the questions. Curtis, bear with me. These will probably be able to turn on both of us, but these are questions directed mostly towards me. It's actually kind of ironic. The first one kind of, I guess, is directed towards both of us. Biggest piece you've ever done? And that's a tattoo, I'm assuming. Biggest piece I've ever done? Well, I'm just going to say yours. Because that's all 100%. You have a pretty big fucking back. And I've done back murals, but mostly on women. And the only other one is a good friend of ours, family friend, Rusty. But he's not a very big guy. So technically, yours might be it, actually. So good question.
Mine would have to be mine as well.
Yeah. Biggest piece you've ever done is yours. Do tattoo artists mind talking during the tattoo? Do tattoo artists mind talking during the tattoo? What do you think about that, Curtis? Could you imagine just sitting there and just
Oh, I've done it. It fucking sucks. It sucks. You're there for a couple hours no matter what.
Yeah.
And I've been where I'll try to even make conversation and just cold. And you're like, I'm like, just get this fucking tattoo
Yeah.
over with so I can get the fuck out of here.
so you'd prefer at
Yeah,
least
dude, you're there regardless. You're there
Yeah.
for hours.
Yeah.
You're there for hours.
Sure.
I mean, that the silence makes the time go by so much worse.
Yeah, I think so too. Because then you're also just kind of wondering. You're like left in this limbo
Yes,
space.
it's just awkward.
Yeah,
You know,
interesting.
now it's just awkward. I mean, if you know, who the hell wants to be with somebody for 6-8 hours and you can't even have a conversation?
100%.
You know, what I mean, that's like a bad date.
Lenore's bringing up the flags. Thanks, Lenore. I always love when people send the flags. I tell them all the time I want to make an episode where we just sit. Everybody just send flags. I'm just going to play the sound effects. I'm just going to watch them go. Maybe for like 4th of July or something. But yeah, the talking part, I find that there's a lot of tattoo artists that roll their eyes at that, and there's a lot of clientele that roll their eyes at too much talking. And so I have to reel it back, right? Like I could, dude, you already know we could do this for, so we have to call this quits. It doesn't really end. We have to like know when to intellectually say this is enough. And I have to do that often because I can chat the ear off, but I can't stand sitting there unless I'm really into a piece that's taking my full, like, and it's very hard for this to be the case. It'll have to be a full color portrait of a face. That's the only thing that when I get into it, I'm like, I'm out. I have to make so many decisions focus wise that for about 6 to 8 hours, it takes everything I have, which I love. I just don't get enough of. So if you guys want portraits, especially color, come to me. But that's the only time really that I'm probably not going to speak. Or if I just really am having a fucked up day and I don't want you to see it.
Me, when I'm in deep thought. When I'm in deep thought. And then people often think when they see me in deep thought, and then so if I'm not communicating with them, they think I'm mad at something. I guess I have a mad look on my face sometimes. I don't mean to, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Just thinking.
Just so if you guys think he's
thinking.
pissed off,
Yeah, I'm just
he's just
thinking.
thinking. So don't take
thinking.
it so personal. Okay, so let's get to the next one. What are some things that will determine if you take the client or not? What are some of the things that will determine whether you take the client or not? Well, we kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, so your client is obviously a tattoo client, which yours you have to spend a lot more time with than
Yeah.
mine. A car deal takes 2 to 3 hours.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And you're not doing them every week or 2 months.
Not the
for
same
that
person. Yeah, not the same person. But you know, in a saying in my business is not all business is good business.
Correct.
So if up front, you know you got somebody that's just a complainer, somebody that's going to be a handful, somebody that no matter what you do, they're not just not going to be happy with the situation. They're going to turn around and torch you online and all those things. I just cut it.
Yeah.
I just cut it. And sometimes I'll just get the vibe, and I'll just say, hey, you know what?
This ain't it.
There's a lot of places you could buy a car. It doesn't have to be this one. Let's just part now.
You
That's
know,
it.
I find
That's
some people have liability written all over them. Very
no.
few, but it happens where it's like, this is a very potential liability. Like with this person, the way they speak, the words they use,
Yeah.
and their sort of attitude towards you.
Well, and you might be wrong sometimes too, because
Sure.
after you've been doing something for a long time, sometimes somebody might come up and they might say a certain thing or act a certain way that reminds you of a bad experience, and maybe they're just not that person,
Yeah.
but maybe it just reminds me too much of
Yeah.
somebody, and I just don't want to take the risk.
And that's it is I might be wrong, but I'm willing to risk being wrong.
Exactly.
Because I'd rather be wrong.
I might be wrong right here, but if I'm right,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to take that chance.
Sure. That's
Let's
how
just
I
part.
make that decision.
Let's just part right now.
If you were to say percentage of customers, this is kind of touchy, but I'm willing to do so without names. If you were to say there's a percentage of customers that fall into the category of whether or not you're willing to work with them, not just whether or not you want to, but you're straight up just like, this is no, we're not going to do this. However you attack that is up to you. But what percentage of customers do you find that to be true?
Very low, very low, 2-3%.
Yeah, I would say the same, like 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
One
It's
out of
not-
100 people,
Thank
it's-
God it's not very many.
Yeah.
It's not very many. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like, it's 2 or 3. But for me, they expose themselves pretty quickly. I mean, right out of the gate, they're usually complaining about something in the process. complaining about the way your salesman did this and why did we have to and they're just complaining right out of the gate, and you haven't even got to business yet, and you're already dealing with an earful of shit, and you're like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah, that's interesting because I do that. Like you were talking to me about interviews recently, and you gave me a piece of advice too.
Yeah.
Like, ask them about their previous employer and what it is that you feel like they could have done differently, and you ask them this question, and they will reveal themselves to you.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's very cool. Samantha's on here.
Go back real quick.
She's
The
asking
last, series of questions.
any embarrassing tattoo stories. Samantha Grace, I don't know where you've been or if you've watched this show before, but there's endless embarrassing tattoo stories, especially on my end. I've done things wrong. I've 100% spelt things wrong in the past. I'm a dyslexic dude, and I don't know how to spell either. So don't ask me. That's why I tell people, don't come to me for lettering. I'm not doing your lettering. I don't know how to spell.
You know what's something funny? So my dad, growing up, my dad was a tattoo artist. My dad was in and out of prison all my childhood, right? And he did tattoos. And he did tattoos in prison. He did tattoos outside prison. A few of my tattoos are for my dad. But he did one on one of my friends. And when it was all done, the arm had 2 elbows.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Terrible.
The fucking arm had 2 elbows.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, and it's still on him right now.
You know what's jacked up? I did that with a finger once.
Serious?
I added an extra. I was like, what is, something looks wrong. And then I count. I'm like, you have 1, 2.
You want to see something
man.
funny? You want to see something funny?
You have it.
So this one right here is from my dad, right?
Okay.
It's a skeleton doing a tattoo of a name. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you see the skeleton?
Yeah.
The skeleton breaking out a skin
Yeah.
doing a name?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the hand?
No. It looks.
Look at the hand. Is that a skeleton hand or is that a human hand?
Yeah, it's not right.
It's a human
Yeah.
hand
That's
with a
not good.
skeleton body.
Yep. I've seen that.
We gotta fix that, bro.
Yeah, one day.
We gotta fix that.
There's all kinds of things like that happen. So
That's weird.
Samantha, yes, there's all kinds of tattoo stories. We can get into them endlessly. Matter of fact, I could do a whole episode with those. So we won't get into too many of them tonight because I'm trying to stay positive right now, not embarrassing.
You put a
but
human hand on me with a skull.
that's funny.
Yes.
That's cool. I mean, I guess you could do it technically backwards, like a human with a skull hand, kind of like death reaching for you or something.
Okay, maybe.
But like the reverse, like a
Okay,
skeleton
so-
with a human hand.
So I've thought about how am I gonna fix that before. You have to put a glove on it.
Okay.
So we have to
something
do
else.
like a farmer style glove or something. How do you fix it?
Yeah, I don't know. Cover
You
it.
gotta do a start over.
Laser removal.
Start over.
That's the answer. Laser wreck it. Just wreck it. Absolutely. Evan, if there's any more questions, don't be afraid to star them up there. So favorite whiskeys / whiskey. I'm going to let you answer that.
Depends on what mood I'm in.
Okay.
If I want to stay up and have a good time, Jameson's always my go-to because I could drink it all night.
Okay.
But if I'm at a say a whiskey bar I've never been to, then I'd kind of let the bartender give me some suggestions. I want to try something I haven't tried before.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And you're not a huge Scotch fan.
I am sometimes,
Yeah.
but Scotch ends my night quickly, so does bourbon.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Scotch
saying.
is
It's got to be. What am I doing? Do I have plans afterwards? You know what I
Sure.
mean? Those thicker ones, those heavier ones, they'll
get you.
yeah.
Yeah, Jameson's it's really light.
Yes.
You get to some of this other stuff, especially a bottle I have up there on top, actually, which is bought for me as a gift, and it's Booker's, and it's like 120 proof.
Oh God.
Yeah, so it's hardcore. One glass of that, and it's 3-4 glasses of this.
Yeah, it's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, and you have 2 of those glasses, which I made them. I never looked at the alcohol content when I first had it. I had about 2 glasses, maybe 2 fingers or something, and I was like, "What the?" Maybe I didn't eat before I drank, but it was hard. It was pretty hard stuff.
So my wife renamed Johnny Walker for me.
Okay.
Yeah, she calls it Johnny Walk Home.
Okay.
Yeah, because the last time I got drunk,
Yeah,
on
you
Johnny
were
had to walk
walking home.
Yeah, it's good. So we call that Johnny Walk Home now.
Okay. Yeah.
That stuff's a little too strong for me.
Heidi is also sending the flags. You know we love them. Brody's correcting me, saying 126 proof, which I believe White Lightning alone, moonshine, is 120. So
Really?
126 for good old Booker's up there.
Have you ever drank White Lightning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so shitty. How
I
does
love
someone drink that?
You know what's fucked up? I love it. I do.
It tastes like rubbing alcohol.
It's a kick in the pants. Okay. Have you ever had apple cider vinegar? Just
Yeah.
straight?
No, yeah,
Like
I have.
if you don't dilute it, that'll kick you more than any. I've never had alcohol in my life kick me like that
I,
shit.
I used to drink that straight. Now I have apple cider pills.
Okay.
Those are really good for you.
Yeah. I do the apple cider thing. It's new to me, but I've been doing that. And I went to take a drink, and the girls in the shop, because I just ordered it, came in, took a drink. They're like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, no, I do.
Like,
I
what?
do
Come
the
on.
pills.
So I took a drink, and that was probably at least 20-30% worse than moonshine.
So like when I go out of town, I have my to-go bag, my lunch bag, whatever you want to call it, right? So all I have in there are the things that I can't get going out. So I have like my macadamia nuts. I'll have a bag of apples and protein shake, but I have olive oil.
Okay.
So I'll take swigs of olive oil, and people think that's strange,
Interesting.
but it's good. It's so good for you.
Huh.
Tastes like shit.
Like
but it's
pure
good for you.
olive oil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because I'm not able to cook it in my foods when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
But the health benefits are good, so I'll just swig it out of the bottle. I used to do that with apple cider, but now I take the pills.
I'm trying to read some. Amanda saying spice rum my favorite. That's something I don't really do. I don't really honestly like anything anymore besides whiskey. I don't do any other alcohols.
Me either.
I try not to even do much of it, just because I think too much. Well, it doesn't take much to be too much. Like having 3 or 4 glasses 2-3 nights a week, to me is way too much for me. I notice a cognitive decline for me, like a mood issue for me, where if I have 1 or 2, maybe 3 glasses throughout the whole week, and it's like 2 one night and then like 1 small glass another, it's not such an issue. But if it's like 3 nights out of the week and I had 2 glasses each night, which isn't even barely a buzz if it's a 4-hour or 5-hour period that night, I still notice something different.
Oh yeah, of course.
I notice something off almost.
So I'm definitely in that category right now because I work out of town a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a hotel quite a few nights, and just out of boredom,
Yeah.
fucking sucks, dude. So out of boredom, there's nothing to do. So I don't want to go to the hotel because I'm bored there.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to go back to the room until I'm ready to go to sleep. So yeah, you have a couple drinks, so forth. But yeah, and when I'm normal at home on a regular, I try to limit it to the weekends.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I try not to drink for any other reason than it's a treat. Like it's something I do enjoy. I know there's no health benefits in my opinion. 0 health benefits. All the risks outweigh the benefits in every way. But I rarely do things that are in that category at all. Right? Like I'm not smoking cigarettes. I'm not obese. I'm not lazy. I'm not poor. I'm just not living my life in an unhealthy way. And so that's one thing that, call it what it is, but I really enjoy that sort of moment of just having this thing. Like I look at it as it's this beautiful handcrafted, thought through. I know that sounds cheesy, but that's what it is to me. I definitely am not getting drunk off it, and I'm definitely not drinking it too often. To me, I don't find that very enjoying, but it's also very relaxing, especially if you're traveling or something like you were saying. A lot of times if I'm camping and I'm by myself under the stars by a campfire, there's nothing better than a glass of whiskey and a cigar for me. That's it.
In that scenario, that's a perfect scenario.
Yeah.
When I'm at home and we're just relaxing, I'm in my backyard. My backyard is like it's like an oasis almost. So I mean, it's very comfortable. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. When I'm out of town having whiskey, it's because I'm fucking bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's not perfect.
That sounds hard. I haven't been bored in a long time, so I can't relate.
It's not good. It's not good. A life on the road is not good, man. It lets demons creep in. So I don't like them either.
Interesting.
But
Evan, is there any more questions we should be getting to? No, just good comments. Thanks, guys, for jumping in there in the comments. Brody says, supposedly tequila is now a probiotic. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Alcohol in any measure, especially beyond a few a night, is scientifically proven to be very negative benefits cognitively.
Sure. It's poison.
It is, and it destroys your cells.
It's poison. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From what I understand, alcohol, it's like fat loss in a sense that, like, you can't target fat loss. It just, your body decides genetically how to lose fat. Where you just decide how much and how often. Like your caloric, you're in charge of your caloric deficit or surplus. But you can't decide like I'm just gonna. Like, there's no fat people with 6-packs unless they genetically just don't have a waist like that. That's possible. But you can't just lose fat in one spot. Like work out my arms to tone them up. You got to lose body fat to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you do.
it's the same thing with alcohol, but in the reverse effect that you can't decide what cells it destroys, and it oftentimes is found destroying brain cells, neurons. So you don't know what cells it's going to destroy, but it's going to destroy cells. That's what the poison does. So I'm very, very careful with it for that reason, because we're not getting younger, we're getting older.
So what I find myself having to do all the time, and it's weird, dude, is I'll drink a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, but I've always had the discipline where I'll be like, okay, Curtis, that's enough. Wrap it up. And I'll reel it back, and it's like I bring it back to zero for a while, and then I'll slowly start over. But it's like I just one day you just realize like, okay, this is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And I'll just reel it back. So I have addictive personality by nature, but I've always been able to luckily had a discipline to pull it back or just stop cold turkey.
Right.
I might just randomly just stop cold turkey for 60 days.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything's good. Just stop. That's a boring fucking 60 days. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's boring.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's so much of your socialism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, where do you go where there's no alcohol?
Yeah.
You know, so it affects your social life too. But sometimes I'll just reel it back. Okay, let's go 60 days today. Cold turkey. Make sure I can. Make sure it's all good. And then you just slowly creep back and you peel it back again. It seems to be a cycle.
Okay, we're going to get to another topic other than the old whiskey, although I do love whiskey. If you guys didn't know, there's two ways to spell whiskey, and they mean two different types of whiskey. I won't give you the history lesson, but you can look it up. So if you were ever a tattoo artist, or I'm sorry, if you weren't a tattoo artist, what would you be? And so we could kind of swing this. If you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing instead? Like if you weren't a car salesman and didn't have, well, I guess you could still have the entrepreneurial spirit, but if you weren't a car salesman, what else would you be doing, do you think?
What she asked you, you start.
Okay, I'll start. So if I wasn't a tattoo artist, I think I would just be in business, honestly. I think I would just be, I would skip the artistic part, because art I can do by myself. I don't need to, art's a very personal thing, so it's a really weird thing to monetize. I think to be an artist and an entrepreneur is a very weird, really, like, it's a psychological mind fuck, to be honest with you. It's what it feels like, because my art is for me. I make things for a totally different reason than making money. Totally different. It's a completely different existence. So to take the two and do both is a very weird experience that takes a lot of the magic out of the art and puts a lot of frustration into the business, that I think if I wasn't into the art part of it, or if I wasn't a tattooer, I think I would go more the entrepreneurial route and just take, I'd probably get more into service, or which I guess I'm technically doing now with the skills I've learned. I'd get more into some sort of product. I think I would rather get into products and sales and learn basically how to make, I don't want my money to be tied to a transaction that's necessary for me to be part of in terms of my time. Right. So I think I would get into that. But it's hard, because if I wasn't a tattoo artist, I'd be doing something else in art. Like if I follow my music career, which I love to play and write music, if I followed that career, I probably would be okay with not monetizing it, because it's very hard to do. Whereas tattooing is very easy to do in terms of monetizing it. So to be an artist, to be a singer and sell your song and make $1, good luck. Compared to if you're a tattoo artist and you could do a line, all your friends line up. They just do. It's just the world we live in. So anyway, maybe that would be my non-answer, which is I would do music and then just do my entrepreneurial pursuit in terms of probably selling products of some sort, things I believed in and liked. That's what I would do.
So Rachel, is that
Rochelle? That's
See,
sis right there.
That's how bad it is. Rochelle says it was boring at times, but being sober allowed me to feel high on life. So for me, and you're absolutely right, for me, when I have purpose and I'm just excited about something that's going on, you don't know what that means to be high on life until you actually feel it, and you have a purpose that gives you that fucking buzz, and then it's strange.
Yeah.
But it is. There is a such thing as just being high on life.
That's
For
true.
me,
It
it's
is true.
when I have a purpose and I'm going after something and I see it starting to form and it's starting to come together, and that's all I'm fucking thinking about. There's been times that I've been really high on life.
Yeah, I agree.
You're just excited about the moment. And so I continually try to find those over and over again. Those keep me excited, whatever it is. And sometimes it might just be helping somebody, but those keep me excited. So if I didn't sell cars, And I sell cars because I enjoy people. You know, it's not the cars are really irrelevant, to be honest with you. The cars are just, they last 3 years and you change them out anyway. So it's the people part of it that's fun to me. It's fun helping people. It's fun helping my employees learn to be successful. It's fun coaching. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun inspiring other people. And then it's fun helping customers too.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I enjoy.
It's
The
interesting.
the cars are just a product.
It sounds to me like
it's just a product.
you're kind of tapping into something you were talking about earlier with the people you train as well. Something that interests me is like in a huge way, which is just psychology of people.
It gives you a satisfaction. It does. It gives you a personal satisfaction. It's weird.
I like it too. Actually, I like to overcome like the sales sort of pitch of or sales process of overcoming objections.
Sure.
I enjoy that because it's just psychology.
Yeah, and
all it
it's the challenge that's in front of you. It's fun. It's
It
fun.
is fun, and that is some of the stuff that gets me high on life, for sure. It's usually those things, you know. Like I always like to at the end of the day kind of inventory how I feel throughout the process of my day, especially at the end, and ask what is it what led me to this feeling, and I'll often find that it's just a handful of things, just a few things. For me, it's very specific, but one of them is just literally generating money. Because to me, money means I get to do more of the things I enjoy and give more to the people, you know, the things that in which they want from me. And so that really gets me like pumped to be able to have a result, whatever the result is. But money is just one of those ones you can calculate. It's kind of like losing weight or getting stronger, right? Like it's super exciting to lift this amount of weight, but now you're lifting more.
Well, you know, when people say like, you know, money's not everything, or if you talk about money too much, it seems like that's all you. And it's not that. It's what it allows you to do.
Yeah.
It's what it allows you to do. Unfortunately, this fucking world requires money
Yeah.
to do things. You know what I mean? And when you're able to treat the people that you love and care about to things that, you know, you wouldn't normally be able to do, that's where the satisfaction comes in. It's not the fact that you earned a large amount of money or whatever you earned that day. It's the fact that what it allows me to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it allows you to bring smiles to people that you care about.
Interesting.
That's what the money does.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I've
Otherwise,
heard-
it's just paper.
I heard somebody say that money amplifies the man.
I don't even know what that means, really.
So money like it's like anything in life. The more you get of it, just shows more. It's like social media. Social media is just all it's done is reveal a poisonous mindset that's been stirring up for the last 60, 70 years, in my opinion. A lot of people's opinion. Social media just revealed it because now we have a platform to show it. Like, man, we really know who we are now.
You know, I have mixed feelings on social media. So one of my first businesses was prior to social media, and that business failed miserably. The advertising was very expensive. You know, I mean, just the fucking yellow book was very expensive. And then at that time, you had to advertise in the, remember those magazines that they put in front of the shopping centers? You grabbed one on your way in.
Okay.
They were, I can't even remember the name of them.
Are you thinking about like nickel ads type
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Those things, and all those things are expensive, you know, and my, you know, the first couple businesses I tried, they failed. Had there been social media back then, it'd have been just fine.
Yeah.
You know, social media changed the whole game when it comes to
Right.
business and reaching people. On the flip side, people don't know how to communicate no more.
Sure.
You know, I have a lot of the kids that come in and they interview and they want to be salesmen or whatever their job they're applying for, and they don't know how to communicate. They just don't know how to talk to people no more. They don't have no experience in actually talking.
Yeah.
And that's the bad side. That's the bad side.
Right.
So I have mixed feelings. I love social media because it allows you to reach a lot of people. It does a lot of good things. On the flip side, it does a lot of bad things too. It stopped teaching people how to actually communicate and be people.
Right. Which then becomes a superpower for those who know how to do that. People who know how to communicate.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks,
Yeah.
oh, numbers online. How about this? How about
That's why I
in
say,
person?
if you're a 20-year-old today and you know how to get in front of people and you're charismatic and you're not afraid to go out, man, you're a fucking unicorn. The
Yeah.
world is yours. I mean, it is yours for the taking.
Interesting.
Every employer wants you.
So we got another question coming in. Brody J's asking, proudest moments, ? Questions for the both of you. Proudest moments? If we could just take that and let's take it current, because like we've lived a lot of life now. There's we could go all the way back, but proudest moments, like some of the most recent.
For me too. So, I didn't get married until I was 41, and you know, marrying my wife was a very good moment for me because I didn't. That was not a part of my cards. I liked being single. You know, I was good at being single, and it was fun. So I never thought I would meet somebody that I actually want to spend, you know, the rest of my life with. And I'm still as good as I am then. I'm just as good now.
Yeah.
So even better.
Okay.
So that was a really good moment for me. But one that was really special for me is I bought my mom a house in 2019, I think 2018 or 2019. I bought my mom a house. That was really special for me.
Very cool.
Yes, because there's a whole backstory toward me. In 2000 and I want to say 2007 or 2008, I lost a business. It went under. I lost everything. It was during the Depression, and a lot of people blame it on the Depression. It was you mismanaged your money. I didn't manage my money correctly. My business went under, and so I tried to hurry up and start another one to survive the storm. And I was going to start a coffee truck, a catering truck that did Starbucks type coffee, but it went door to door or business to business, right? And so in building that, it took more money than I thought to build that catering truck. Catering trucks are very expensive. People don't know that. I fucking ran out of money, right? My mom, who lived on Social Security and she was an apartment manager, she got a very small salary, but she got a free apartment. Somehow saved up like $6,000. I didn't know she had this. And it was just enough for me to finish the fucking truck. But she gave it to me. She gave me the $6,000. Her and my stepdad, who's not with us no more, they gave me the $6,000. I didn't ask for it. I just ran out of money and the truck wasn't finished. So they gave me this money and I'm like, I didn't know you had this money, right? But it was just enough for me to finish the truck. End up building a route with the truck. So forth. I sold the truck and route for $100,000, and I was back on and moving again, right? So in 2019, I was in a position. I bought him a house. He was still there. He was still with us then, but I bought him a house, and that was a really cool moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. That's one of my goals in life and I never really share this with my parents, and they don't really watch this anymore either because we go too late and my parents go to bed early. But it's one of my goals too, is to be able to at least financially retire them, if not at minimum, just get them to a point where whether they move out or just pay off their house, or even if it's paying their property taxes every year, like that's definitely a goal of mine. I think that's one of those things that you'll do more for others than you'll do for yourself, and it just pushes you to want, like those stressful days. That's one of my ways to look at it and relieve myself of the stress and still be able to push forward, is just thinking like, I'm not just doing this for me. Like this isn't just for me. I even think about my nieces and nephews, my kids, the people in my family. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. That was really neat. So the question was proudest moments. I got one simple one. Isabel graduating high school. I've never really been a fan of school. I didn't like it myself, but seeing her excel so well and now going to college and like really just crushing it still, not just getting good grades, but participating in things and really getting things done and taking the initiative. I was sitting and watching her last orchestra performance, playing the cello on stage at the theater in Clovis North. And I remember thinking, this is the last time I'm going to see this. This is it. We did this her whole life growing up, and I'm sitting here watching her play the cello, and she was crushing it. It's so beautiful to see when she first started and the sounds were so bad that you just clap anyway. You're so proud of them for trying to doing something that blows your mind, that's beyond even me musically in every way, that I just looked at her and was like, I can't, like, she's beyond me now. Everything she's doing is beyond me. So that was one of those proud moments that I had.
So you talked about her going to college, like even when we first met. That was one of the things you were talking about.
Yep. No, so now she's there. Done moved out, which is real weird. I don't know if I could say I'm proud of that part. I'm more just lonely and I miss her. But we see her all the time. So
let me ask you this. Is it weird having adult children?
Oh man. I had to take, I don't remember exactly what started it, but there was a few things. Like my son wanted to go visit a family out of state, and he's been talking about even staying there maybe permanently for a while. doing my daughter's, graduation stuff to moving on and starting college, there was this weird moment where like every summer, the last day of school every summer, we've always gone on a trip to a very specific place. And this year they had plans. Someone's doing this person's doing that. I can't because of this. And I was pissed, but I wasn't mad at them. I was just in this, like, I had to let go of something that I had ever since they were born. And we've been going up to this camping site and since they were 5-6 years old, like most of their birthdays, their parties, like even summer weekends. But every summer, the last day of school, we pack up and we go to this place. And this year we couldn't do it. And I remember I locked myself in my room. Evan, do you remember this? I don't know if it was that obvious. I don't know if it was obvious or not, but I was pissed at both of you.
Well, it didn't affect him the same way it affected you.
No,
He wouldn't
not at
remember
all.
this.
He might
remember this.
And this was recent. This is like a month ago, 2 months ago.
I don't remember.
I was pretty mad. I was pretty mad at both you and Isabel. But again, I guess I wasn't really mad at you. It's not the right words. But long story short, I went in my room for the whole weekend, which I never do. I never seclude myself like that anymore. I don't. I have stuff to do, especially just wasting my time in my room. Anyway, I locked myself in my room and forced myself to recognize that my children are no longer little kids that will be doing everything I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really let that in. I was like, let's get this over with now. So for a whole weekend, for a night and 2 days, I just sat there and like really, I let that anger just process, and I'm over it now. I'm all better, guys.
Look at Leonora says, "Get used to it. Now I have grandkids."
Yeah, that's coming.
I have my first grandkid.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yes, it's my wife's children's children.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little girl. I'm in love with that little girl, dude.
That's cool.
That is a whole different. You are 100% right. That's a whole different thing, man. It really is, man. I'm in love with that little girl, dude. It's like, it's so weird when I'm coming back from out of town or whatever. Of course, I want to come home and see my wife, but then she'll send me like a FaceTime and she's got the baby. I want to get home and see the baby, dude. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know the baby's got to go back to their parents by the time I get home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I can't wait. This is a weird one. It's a weird one. But what's weird for me, what I was talking about, is weird having adult children. Like, I got a son that's 27 years old. I don't feel like I'm older than 27 years old. Man.
Right. Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still weird to me. I'm 44. I don't fucking feel like it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm any older than them. You know, it's,
Yeah.
that's strange. It's that I'm still wrapping my head around that.
Yeah,
To
I think
have
that takes a lot of
Adult children, and I don't feel like I feel like we're on the same age group, and it's
Yeah.
strange to me.
I actually sometimes feel like that with my son, because between 16 and 19 somewhere is where I felt kind of like I was me now. Like I was not, I mean, I'm still the same guy.
Yeah, when I'm
So-
around my friends, we still enjoy doing the shit that
Yeah.
we did when we were kids. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we have bicycles.
Right.
I love to ride my fucking bike. If I get the chance to ride my bike,
Yeah.
that's fun. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's strange to me that I got a kid that's 27 years old. You know
Yeah.
what I mean,
That's cool.
it's weird.
That's really
It's
cool.
weird.
I got a couple more questions that we'll get to before the end of the show. So here we go. Thanks, guys, for staying with us this long. It's not uncommon for us to go this long, and it goes by so fast, at least on our end. So thank you. This is an interesting question. Something on your to-do list? Gosh, that would be such a long one, but something on your to-do list. That's an interesting question. Something on your to-do list. Yeah, I need to hire a receptionist. I'm in the process right now. I won't make any promises, of course, because who knows how things will turn out, but that's it. I'm trying to find somebody to help out at the front desk, and I know eventually whatever's meant to be will be, and I'm just doing the work to make sure that that whatever's necessary gets done. So,
I'm gonna nominate Brody.
okay, she's nominating for working at the front desk. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think that might be. Well, I don't think that's possible because she has a job. We'll see. We'll see if she's ever hungry and needs a second job. Let's see. Is there any other questions, Evan, that are popping up? No. Okay, I'll get to these ones. So, something on your to-do list. It's hiring somebody that you talked me into having at the front desk. So that's on my.
You're gonna
It's-
make money.
it's been a
gonna
while.
Make you money. It's gonna make you money.
You know what? What really intrigued me about you suggesting that me have that person at the front desk was, really that it hit me like a bolt of lightning after I was processing. Like, why do I can't really afford to like pay somebody just to be up at the front. We could do that. The girls can do. I can do that. The girls can do it. People can pitch in. And then I thought, I need someone at the front desk to do the things that are not getting done and the things that I'm doing that don't make me the money when I need to be sitting in this chair.
Okay, so you want to hear something even crazier? What did I tell you before the show?
That I have blue eyes and a incredible jawline.
No,
that part.
No, none of that homo shit.
Okay, the other part.
No, I said that I see somehow in our future doing business on the road.
Right.
Right. When you started talking about me about this entrepreneur stuff and you had these ideas and all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, the first thing you need to do is we got to build more business the way you are capable of handling right here, right? And if you had somebody at that front counter handling these customers and doing business development, putting the content out there constantly, answering to people, building the pipeline of business to where you were overwhelmed now where you got to hire more people, at some point you would need an investor and you would need a bigger building.
Right.
And you would need more people. And so I can't help but think this way. But when I see somebody that I see a spark in and I see something and I go, okay, there's something here, right? Because finding a product or finding a way to make money is not, the hardest part is finding the people
Yeah.
that are willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a million good ideas.
Yes.
A
There's a
billion.
million fucking good ideas. But if you don't got the people, you don't got shit.
Yeah.
So when you were talking, I can't help but inside in the back of my head, I'm going, okay, at some point, if he's overwhelmed with business and this building simply don't work no more, then I come with another good idea to him and say, hey, we can start a entrepreneur service here where we bring people up through the ranks, contract them to where they got to give us their time back so we get an ROI on them. Mm-hmm. And now we got a fleet of people pumping out these tattoos. We got a BDC department that's pumping out content, bringing people in the door. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's a bigger business here.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, okay, there might be something here down the road.
I'm glad you think that way.
So in the back of my head, I can't help but be selfish. It sounds fucked up, but it's just the way my brain operates.
Well, it definitely doesn't sound fucked up to me because I think the same way. And I've never been one of those people to be satisfied with where I'm at because I know that if I can get here, then I go further. So I've always wanted to just keep going. And something that when I first started my business, I've had these little incremental goals. Well, to me, they were seemingly incremental, but starting a business, within a year having a website, within 2 years being profitable, after 5 years, if it's not self-sustainable, I'm out. Well, it's 4.5 years. It's been 4.5 years. I got 6 months. And now I'm in a position where I'm going to be hiring some at the front desk to make this a better, well-oiled machine. So all these things are happening and I'm making them happen, but I'm not going to stop. That's not it. Right. So I'm starting to now see over that horizon as it's starting to now be realized and come true. Now I'm starting to see that I want to build a bigger brand because it's fun.
Yes.
I enjoy it.
And tattoos are one of the hottest things on the market right now. I mean, it's like, I don't even know what to compare it to right now.
It is very different. I would say the beauty industry. It's like hair and nails, eyelashes, and Botox.
Maybe even more because what you're describing right now only applies to women. Tattoos are universal. Everybody wants them.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody, and it's so accepted across all boards now. You know what I mean? It used to, you had to, all my tattoos are covered. If I have a shirt on, people don't know I have a tattoo.
Yeah.
Because in my industry, they weren't accepted.
Right.
Now they're accepted everywhere. The times have changed, right? So it's a very, very hot product right now. So if you have somebody that's at the head of that is personable, driven, goal driven, and charismatic, and actually want to grow a business, now you got something special because not all tattoo artists are like that. A lot of tattoo artists are very it's about the art, they're about themselves, they don't really want to, they're not personable, they don't want to deal with people. I dealt with a lot of tattoo artists that don't like people.
Yeah, that's the artist part.
They don't like people.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, okay, I get it, you want to draw, but you still got to deal with people.
Yeah.
You still got to sell your shit. Somebody's got to buy it.
I think tattooing is quite an enigma. To touch on that point, it's quite an enigma in the business industry because it's become a place where anything from felons that literally have no other way out to make money besides unless you're going to do something illegal, all the way to artists who are genuine artists, or maybe both. Maybe you're both the felon and the artist, which is a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know that have started that way. And it's not uncommon. People say, how do you learn to tattoo? I literally asked this at 16 in a shop, a professional who was well known, a world-renowned artist, if you will, or nationally known. And he had said, go to prison. And the other guy said, move to California. And I was in Oregon at the time. And it's not uncommon for that to be the industry. And I think the reason why is because it's really hard to, as an artist, fit in anywhere else and actually make money and not like people and not like business and want to do your own thing and monetize it, tattooing's kind of the saving grace in a big way for those people, which also means there's a huge opportunity for someone who wants to do both, which is an unusual thing. I do agree. There's not a whole lot of that, although it's getting more popular. But that's something I've wanted to do just simply because, not because people are doing it or not doing it or there's room for it. I just want to do it simply because it's fun, because it's cool, because it sounds like something I'd enjoy doing. And I've been loving doing it. Even just doing this show, having people on the show and sharing these ideas, just builds that community even more, builds that, I mean, speak it into existence kind of thing, manifesting, but just having
Which
fun.
I'm a believer in that as well.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's, again, why we get along, is because of that. Because I don't think we have like a cap or some sort of, we were just barely tapping into stuff.
I think the only reason people don't speak about their dreams is because they're afraid of failing.
Yeah, I agree.
And you have to get comfortable failing. That's part of growth. I fail all the fucking time. You know what I mean? That's part of it. And so when you fail, you just adjust and then you keep going.
Yeah,
You only fail if you stop.
I agree.
If you stop, then you failed. If you have to make an adjustment to get where you want to go, that's not failing. That's making an adjustment.
Yeah,
But the only reason people don't talk about things is because they don't want to fail. They don't want to. They don't want to look you in the eye and say I didn't do it. So they'll, a lot of people only talk about something after they accomplish it. But we don't know if that's what they originally set out to do. Nobody knows.
right. Yeah, I think to shot call is way cooler.
Yes.
Way cool.
Put it out there. Put it out there. Put it out there. It holds you accountable.
Right.
You'll get further if you tell people about it, because nobody wants to be a liar. You will hold yourself accountable to a higher degree if people know what you're going after.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. Again, psychology.
Yeah, I dig that.
You got to trick your own mind.
Right. I dig that because I think that's that sort of pressure of like shot calling or pointing at something and saying that's going to be it. That's what I'll have.
It is pressure. Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. And sometimes that's exactly what you need, is that little bit of pressure, that push, that expectation from others and from yourself, that little bit of discomfort of knowing that, like, sort of that bad taste in your mouth towards, I set out to everybody I was going to do this, but what have I done? It's very embarrassing. And as actually you make, this is something I would love to hear your input on, or at least your response on. I get a lot of response from people, from family, from really close family, to clientele that I don't know personally, to people that as friends, and pretty much from all walks of life in my little bubble, in my circle. When if you really ask them, and I actually just did this recently to Samurai, one of the tattoo artists in our shop. I asked her, what is something about me that you kind of, hold dear to you? Like, what's something about me that gives you confidence that you're in the right place, learning from the right person in the right environment? And she goes, more than anybody else, when you say you're going to do something, you just do it. And I get that response a lot from people. And what I mean is, it seems like it's maybe a rarer thing than it seems like it should be to me, because, and I've had another lady, actually, Kim, if you're watching this, I don't know. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your health is great. I love you. Kim hasn't been in the comments for a while, but wonderful family friend. And she had said the same thing. The thing that she appreciates the most about me is that when I say I'm going to do something, I just get it done. When something needs to get done, let's get it done then. I think that's a lot more rare than.
There's two things that go there. A, it is a lot more rare. Okay. But B, when you say you're going to do something, then you get it done. That's part of getting it done, is telling people, verbalizing it, that I'm going to do this. So when you verbalize it, you're doing two things. You're not just telling somebody else that you're going to do something, because, who knows if they even care? You don't know. Half of what you're doing is you're telling yourself that I'm going to do this. I just told this person I'm going to do it, and they said, all right, good, I can't wait to see it. Fuck, now I got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Now I got to do it. Now this person expects me to do it. So I think on a subconscious level, you're holding yourself accountable to get done what you say you're going to get done. Because if you weren't sure about it, you would just keep it to yourself.
Right. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's something that we do on a subconscious level to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah.
That's why I try to verbalize everything. And some shit is outlandish. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I want to fucking do it.
Yeah.
So I have to tell a lot of people about it. I want to own a hotel in Miami.
Wow.
I want to own my own hotel in Miami. I want the top floor to be my penthouse, and I want a pool on the top floor.
Now we're getting spicy. It only took us 2 hours,
Yes.
and now we're doing it. Now we're doing the real thing.
And I want to hold private parties upstairs that are invite only.
Okay.
That's what I want.
That's awesome.
That's one of my dreams.
That's really cool.
Yes.
I feel like there's a lot more going on too, but that's just
There's a lot
something
more.
you just
I
kind of,
want to own a Harley dealership.
yeah,
I want my own Harley dealership. I got a lot of dreams.
that's very cool.
But I tell people, everybody that's close to me knows these already. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's
I'm
really
a
awesome.
long fucking way from that. Trust me.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm a long way from that.
that's okay, right?
But I want to get there.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Just the steps in front of you. So, how much work have you done? Just out of curiosity, how much work do you feel like you have to do conceptually, right? Like envisioning it physically, like by seeing things, to, doing the vision boards, to just dreaming it up in your head and writing it down as goals, or what? Do you have a process for that kind of thing?
I don't understand your question.
So, let's say there's something you want in your future,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people, and I'm a firm believer personally in dream boards or vision boards,
Mhm.
where you put it in front of you so you can see it. Right? I want to see the car I want.
Mhm.
Right? We all do this as kids subconsciously.
Mhm.
There's the girl on the wall that you want. There's the car that you want, but everybody writes it off as that would just be nice.
So I have a couple dry erase boards, and I have the goals written on there. They're on my wall, and then sometimes I'll put things where people can see them, and I know they can see them, because then I know they'll read them too, and it again holds me accountable. I don't do it like I used to. I used to carry a list around with me everywhere, and I'd show people. But like work hard toward it. Honestly, I don't feel like I work at all anymore, because it's weird when you really enjoy what you're doing, you don't feel like you're working at all. So I don't feel like I work enough. I don't feel like I work enough. I got to figure out how to get. I got to get more work done.
Okay,
Yeah, it's weird. I got to get more work done.
interesting.
So,
Do
yeah.
you do that by?
My biggest regrets on like a daily basis is if I didn't get enough done in that day. That bothers me. You know what I mean? If I didn't get enough productivity done in a day, that bothers me. And then I'll look back at the hours wasted. If I wasted this block of time, I'll regret that.
Interesting.
And then I'll think about that the next day.
I'll do the same thing
You know what I
often.
mean? It's I don't have time to waste. So if I wasted fucking time, if I mentally checked out, that bothers me.
It's a loud signal that you did something wrong.
Yeah, but it's just, you don't get it back. You don't get the time back. Time is the only thing you can't reverse. You know what I mean? So you don't get it back. So if you know you just checked out and you didn't put your effort into it, that bothers me.
So what do you do about that? How do you combat that scenario?
Well, what I do to make myself feel better about it is every day I'll write down a list of things I want to get done, and I check them off as I go. Because where I'm at in my profession, once I get to wherever I'm going, I get pulled 10 different ways, and you have to give attention to the people that want your attention. I can't just ignore them. I can't just tell them, man, I got 15 things on my list to do today that require 15 hours, and I got 10 hours to get it done, so I don't have time for you. I can't do that. I got to give them the time. So I got to give them their time, but I still got to get these things done, because somebody else depends on me to get this shit done. So I have to have my checklist, and I check it off as I go. So if I don't check those things off as I go, at the end of the day, even though I may have got the same amount of stuff done, if I don't have something tangible to look at to prove to myself that I got it done, then those questions go to my head, and I go, "What the fuck did I get done today? What did I do today?" Okay. But if I got it tangible and those things crossed out, then I can feel good about that day. Even if some have to roll over, I can still feel good about that, because I can see, because I'm a visual.
Yeah.
I can see, okay, these things got done today. I can feel good about that day. Today was a productive day. Today was progress. But if I don't got it tangible, if I can't see it, it fucks with my head.
Is there something on that list that you think people would find either shocking or just interesting or unusual that's on there?
Yeah, probably the small things. Get my fucking workout.
Yeah.
That's on my list. I gotta get up in the morning. I gotta get my workout. You know what I mean? So even just some of the small things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making the list is important.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it's just the small things that even, because that's your first W. And making a list is your first fucking W.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting up on time, second W. You know, instead of hitting snooze over and over. And then you're like, okay, I'll skip it today. I'll get it tomorrow. I'll do a double up tomorrow to make up for today. Fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, so some of the little things would probably seem not relevant, but they affect you psychologically, because you stacked one. You got one down. Now I can move on to the next one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Small accomplishments lead to bigger accomplishments.
Right. You mentioned like your workouts, right? Your exercise, your health or fitness. Do you see that when you think about that endeavor? Do you think of that as part of everything that you do, or a separate thing, or do you see it as like, because like for example, I see it as it's part of my work. Part of my job is to stay physically healthy. Like I shouldn't be a slob. I should be well put together. I should be energetic, fit, so they can best serve the people that are paying me good money. And it's just do my best and last as long as I can. I can see it as like part of the gig.
It's full circle, man. It's full circle. You want to feel good. I mean, if you physically look good, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I don't care about being politically correct. If you physically look good, you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And people view you in a different manner. It's just, I tell people all the time, I don't make the rules. I just understand how they work. So I make sure I operate in my favor.
Sure.
Right? So I didn't make the rules. I just understand how they work. Right? If you physically look good, you feel better about yourself and people look at you a different way. Right? On top of that, you hold yourself accountable to something because it's not always fun. Our alarm clock, my wife and our alarm clock goes up at 5:20 every morning. We get up at 5:20 on the dot. We're at the gym at 6 o'clock. We got to be out there at 7. I got to be leaving my house at 7:40 at the latest to be at work. It's right down the line. It's a structure. And some days you just don't feel like doing it. But we do it together, so one of us will feel like doing it. And one of us will drag the other out of bed and we fucking get it done. And at the end of it, we feel good.
Interesting.
So that's your first W. You fucking got it done because you just don't feel like doing it sometimes, man.
And there's a lot of hard science that backs up that when somebody feels like it's conclusive that when somebody feels like they've won or they actually have made a win, what does that do? Leads to more.
It inspires you to want more. You want more. You want the second one. It's like it must be some type of endorphin or something that goes off. I don't understand exactly how all the science behind it, right?
Yeah.
The endorphins and all that. I don't know how all that stuff works, man. I don't. I just know it makes me feel good.
Sure.
Right? It makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel like I had a purpose that got done. I feel better about myself because the worst feeling for me is when I drive home and I know that I checked out early and I didn't give my all for that day and I just let the day go, and then I can't get it back.
Yeah.
I feel guilty to God that He gave me a day to be productive and I wasted it, and I feel guilt for that.
So Brody Jade's asking, do you compartmentalize work, family, etc.? Kind of like what you're saying about like there's workout, there's this, like there's these chunks of time in the day.
No, I combined it all together. That's the only reason I got married. I found the right woman that is able to blend all those things in my life together. I'm in the car business, that, but I have a couple businesses outside of that, right? She helps me manage all those. So she's involved in that stuff just as much as I am, right? And we start our day together at the gym. And that, I think every couple should work out together. I really do. Because myself and every couple that I know that works out together, they build a bond that's very, very close. There's something about it. You sweat in that fucking gym together, you build a bond together. Even if you don't see together the rest of the day until the night, there's still something that's built together when you sweat together and you build that bond. And on top of that, this might sound weird, but there's something sexy about it. There really is. And it's a psychological thing. When you see your fucking girl putting in the work to look good for you, because the reality is, I mean, this is not going to be politically correct. It's not going to sound good. But a lot of girls only work out when they leave their old man.
To be on the market again.
Yeah.
When they're on the
Then
market
go back to
again.
the gym.
Right.
And then they send their ex pictures like, look what you lost. And you're like, no, I lost the fat version of you.
Yeah.
I would have kept that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you're together and you work out and you make a conscious effort to make sure you look good for each other, it creates a tight bond. So it's not segregated. If that's answering your question, it's a whole circle. It's a whole package. It's a lifestyle. It's what we do. You know what I mean? And it works.
Very cool.
It works.
I like
I
that.
said, I never intended on getting married. It was not in my cards. In fact, I used to tell people I would never get married. And it just happened.
Yeah.
It
Well,
just happened.
you seem like the kind of guy who has a lot of structure. So there had to have been some sort of reason why this came into your life and like just made all the sense in the world.
It would have to enhance my life, or I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you didn't expect that maybe.
No. And I probably wouldn't even accept it if it was just like neutral. Like, okay, it's there. It doesn't help me. Doesn't hurt me. It's just there. That probably would not be good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I wasn't looking for it, but it either, and that's probably pretty much anything today. It either is going to enhance my situation, or I just don't have the time for it, unfortunately.
Interesting. Well, I think if there's no other questions, Evan, in the comment section, then we did pretty good tonight. There were some questions I did see.
What
or
are
some,
we even talking about?
Yeah, what are we talking about? I don't know. What life? Anything we want. This is artistic freedom. We have all the freedom to talk about whatever we want and do whatever we want, say whatever we want, respond to whatever we want. For me, this episode, whenever people ask what's the show about, actually you asked that earlier. I just let them know the show is simply about, or is really not technically about anything other than it's just a time for me to enjoy what I like to do. This is downtime for me, but still being productive. And it's a good excuse for me to be around cool people, interact with my audience and build deeper connections, and just have fun. Really, like I've said to you before the show, is really just for me to have fun. A lot of times what I'm doing is go, work, focus, having to deal with, customers all the time and business related stuff. This is my opportunity to get away from that to some extent and just enjoy, really is what it is. That's really the whole point of it. You saw something on there? What? Oh, Christy saying, what do you do besides sell cars? No? There's something else you see, but you're not telling me. I don't know.
No.
I'm not. I don't know.
What else do I do besides sell cars? We have a business out of our backyard where we resell like box store goods.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be Costco or Home Depot or whatever. I buy truckloads of that and we resell it. You can find us on Facebook. We got a ton of ads on there. So we resell that. We have a boat and jet ski RV rentals. We got the cabin.
Yep.
You stayed at today.
Actually, if anybody's watching this and saw my last couple nights stay and / vacay at the lake with the kids, you would know where the jet skis and the cabin came from. But the cabin and the jet skis are in two different places. One's Airbnb for the cabin, and then the jet skis are on.
You can do the cabin through Airbnb. If you contact me through social media on my Instagram or something like that, you can save the taxes and the fees.
Right.
Because the Airbnb, they tack on their own stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, whichever.
That's cool. So if you guys saw the cabin, you liked the cabin, which by the way, we loved the cabin. Evan.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
appreciate it so much.
Yeah, he had we all had fun. And as a matter of fact, he likes to sleep a lot, but me and Isabel enjoyed the game room a lot, and she's never played pool before. So
really?
I taught, and she actually did bet. Well, okay.
How old is she? 19?
She's 18. Yeah. And
how did you never play pool at 18 years old?
She plays cello. so pool wasn't in the cards, but we literally played pool for like 3 hours. It was super fun. We had a great time.
Yeah,
Definitely a bonding moment.
The cabin's fun. I don't get to spend a lot of time up there. It's rented a lot right now.
That's good.
So the weekend of September 9th, we're celebrating my mom's birthday. We're going to be there that weekend, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
it is wonderful. And actually, to be honest with you, jet skis aren't necessarily something that I lean towards. I'm more like my feet on the ground or paddles in the water, like just physical propulsion.
They're addicting.
It was a lot more fun than we expected.
They're addicting.
Yeah.
They are addicting.
I've been on them before, but I've never been on them with my family, with my kids.
They're addicting. Man.
And there was a lot more exciting than I thought.
Yeah, they were so fun.
So that was cool. Well,
it is.
If, shameless plug, if somebody was to rent them the jet skis, how do they, or you have other things for rent too, but how could they see that information?
Just go to my Instagram. It's official Curtis Riggleman.
Okay.
You'll see it.
Official Curtis Riggleman.
Riggleman. Yeah,
okay.
You'll see it on there.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, in one of the posts I make soon, I'll also be tagging it in there so people can find it as well.
There you go.
That'd be really cool. So those are some of your other businesses. What got you into that type of stuff other than car sales? Now this is more rentals and service.
Well, the backyard business is a long story. How much time do we got? Are we out of time?
Well, I promised Evan, we have dinner. I know it's late, but
Yeah.
our family gets home at 10. Everybody gets home at 10.
So the backyard business is a long story. That came kind of by accident. the rentals and the cabin. Those are just things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like I said earlier, it's time versus money.
Sure.
So it's, do I enjoy those things and can I make money on them? I get to use all the rentals. We have the pontoons, the RVs, all that. It's fun, and it makes money. So it's a win-win.
It makes sense.
I get to use it. You know what I mean? The cabin, I get to use it a few times a year. We enjoy it, and it makes money. And
That's cool.
if it continues, then I'll get more. You know, we're looking at Paso Robles. I think that'd be a really good spot. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And then one day Miami.
The Miami will be that'll be the crown.
That's a big deal.
That'll be the crown.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the Miami, I want to go to the hotel.
That's really
that'll
cool.
be the crown on top.
I have a feeling that if there was like an after show.
The Miami is 8 years from now. That's where my goal is there.
Okay.
That's 8 years.
Interesting. So if we ever did like an after show and one like a follow up to this, to see like where it's going, where everything's going, just the progress part, because it's hard to do in a short amount of time, but like over a long enough period of time, this may seem like something I'm only doing for the first year or so of my business, but, or the first year or so of this show. It's been about a year and a half now, doing 64 episodes. Once it's episode 1000, 2000, like following up on this kind of stuff right now, it seems like, oh man, it'll happen, right? The day's going to come. We're going to have to update people.
This was scary for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's strange. You know what I mean? Buying a cabin was scary, but I didn't have nerves in my stomach like when we talked about coming here, because
Really?
this is so unfamiliar for me.
Interesting.
Just to talk and be judged by strangers was very kind of intimidating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think about it now?
If I buy the fucking cabin and it fails, then I just lose money.
Yeah.
And I've lost money plenty of times.
So this is new for you then?
It's
obviously,
brand new.
completely.
It's brand new. It's
Interesting.
brand new.
And
brand new.
what do you think about it now? Easy.
I feel like I'm getting a tattoo.
Yeah, it's cool. That's exactly what I figured it would be like for both of us, because we do this whole conversation we've had probably 3 or 4 times to some extent,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of cool to have you guys watching and to have Evan obviously operating and to be able to do it live, which is a little more pressure than obviously just us doing it by ourselves. So I enjoy doing that. Brody Jade is asking, Evan, are they scary? Was it your first time?
Oh, it was my first time, and it was fabulous.
That was your first time on a Sea-Doo?
Very
Serious?
first one. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he loved
fun.
it.
Okay.
Isabel was scared for the first 5-10 minutes.
Both of them first time?
They've been on them before, but they've never operated them before.
Okay. So those were good ones then, because those top out at about like 40-ish miles an hour.
Yeah, I think we hit
hit
30,
that.
40. I think so.
What was it?
I
Right
hit
about
that,
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about 40, and then that was it.
Yeah. So that's good for starting. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And those are easy to operate
Shoot,
too.
super
that's,
easy.
That's why they're great rentals. I mean, they're very user friendly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
But now you're gonna want more, Evan.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the
It
next
was
step.
right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the next step.
But I think if somebody's never used them before or not sure, those are great to use.
Yeah, you don't want to get on something that's ridiculous.
It's going to destroy you.
You'll get hurt.
Yeah.
You'll get hurt.
Yeah, those things are pretty. It's like the difference between riding a little 125 or a Hayabusa.
Mm-hmm.
So two totally different worlds. 100%. Brody said, I'd be scared. Isabel was a little bit scared at first because I was operating the machine, but she got used to it. She got really used to it. And after that, she was super comfortable. I didn't know, I should have known this a long time ago. I feel like I've spent so much time around Shaver, but there's a waterfall at the back. Like nobody's ever told me that.
I've never been that far. Shaver's a
Super cool.
Shaver's a beautiful lake.
It is.
That's one of the nicest lakes out
Yeah,
there.
it is really nice.
I've never been that far back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The south side of the lake when
and
we got over there was
Brody.
gorgeous.
Brody can ride on the back with my wife
There you go.
because that would be fucking hot.
Yeah. She'll take
So
you.
You got an invite right there.
He'll.
That's not scary. You can ride on the back with my wife, and that'd be pretty sexy.
Is she pretty tame when she's riding?
Who?
Your wife.
It depends on if I'm watching or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm watching, she tries to be a professional.
Okay.
Yeah, if she's
Yeah.
out there by herself, she's fine. But if she thinks I'm watching her, then she tries to show me that she's a professional Sea-Doo rider.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Ambria. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Can I get an answer? Maybe it's late. I'm alone here. I don't know what she means. Ambria.
Have her repeat the question. What was the question?
I enjoyed this episode. Rochelle, thanks for being on here, of course, as always. And Brody said you both did great. I don't know if she was talking about us or about the kids, but that's awesome. Either way, that's super cool. Rochelle said, I enjoyed hearing your story, Curtis. Great outlook and such drive. Super cool.
Oh, thank you.
No pun intended. Such drive. Maybe that's something in your brand you could put in there. Drive, Curtis.
No, I get it. I'm thinking.
Curtis's
My
drive.
wheels are spinning. My wheels are spinning.
His wheels are spinning.
Yeah.
That's right. His engines are fired up. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to end it here. We got to get some dinner going with these kids, as late as that sounds. Isabel is actually almost done with her band. Evan, has she been communicating with you?
A little bit.
Okay, good.
Here
So
and there.
we know that she's going to still be hungry. But Curtis, man, this has been awesome. I know that everybody enjoyed it. We're going to have to do it again. I'm more than happy, obviously, if I've had you on here before or now, and then having you on again, I think would
we'll
even
do
be
it
more
again.
natural.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So thank you very much. Everybody watching, thank you guys so much for episode 46. It's been super cool, as always. Thanks for getting spicy in the comments section. Episode 47 next week, Wednesday, 7:30-ish, maybe 8. You never really know. Then we'll get back to you guys. If you do have questions, Ambria, sorry I didn't get to them, but you can always message me or call the shop at any time. High Sierra Tattoo Co. is our website. You can also Google us, and all the information's on there, so you're going to be able to find it. She is asking real quick, Josh, a message about getting my 2 underage teens septum pierced. I don't do any underage septums, but I do have, if you want to connect with us, I can give you some information about somebody who might be able to help you out. So thanks for asking that. Awesome guys, show guys. Thanks, Brody. So thank you guys so very much for being here. Evan, give us some outro music, the big red button on the big board at the top. You know what to do. You guys have been awesome. Curtis, thank you so very much. We will do this again. You guys have a good night. Me, Curtis, episode 46. Evan, we're out. See you guys.